Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 125th live stream for the Misfit Gamer Studios. I'm your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have a community creation coming from Pokeniner. We have the subclass of the Paladin sort called the Oath of Progress. Now, I will say I'm already intrigued, and I'm very excited to go over this particular subclass because, you know, of course, with Zenith being the ruler of High Point and the god of self-growth. Basically self-progression. This is gonna, you know, fall right in his wheelhouse. That's exactly what Zenith would want to see, as he is all about personal growth and getting better at what you do. So I'm really interested to see what the Oath of Progress is and to see if it will be a winner for Zenith. But first, we do have a few updates. I think we just decided on October's extra stream.
Yes. Oh, very exciting.
I have to redo y'all's community goal. So let me do that real quick.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, so we are. Do you want to update them a little bit on the extreme while I set the new community goal?
Yes. So the idea for us is we've got a lot of other stuff happening, and we didn't want to put this new extra stream for October so close to the one we just finished doing. So I think what we decided is we're going to do it on Sunday the 20th. Sunday the 20th of October. That'll be the extra stream that you guys earned for the month of October. So I think that'll be good. Vortex was talking about setting up a poll either tonight or tomorrow sometime for you guys in the sub chat to kind of give us an idea of what we could do the topic on, and that way we can lock down what it might be. And it could be another lore type situation, or it could be something completely different. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes down. But yeah.
What is your how stringent is your schedule in November? I know mine.
November?
Mine's pretty open, actually. Should we keep it at the same price? I think December, we may either take a pause in December, or it may have to be a little extra expensive.
Sure.
But November, I think I'm good for most weekends.
I will say I can't think of anything.
Okay, we'll make it the same amount then.
Yeah.
And then it's because we didn't technically start this. Oh, wait, it is the 30th. Officially, how many days until the 1st? Like, is it technically 31 right now?
It is not technically 31 yet.
How many days exactly?
Well, technically midnight tonight will be tomorrow. Will be the 1st.
Right, but I mean exactly how many days until the 31st? Like exactly how many?
So there will be 31 days until the 31st of October.
There are 31, but we don't stream. Our last stream is actually the 28th, so that'll be fine.
Correct.
So we will say that so 30 days is fine. I'm just trying to make sure that we line it up with our streams to know whether or not they made it.
Got you.
Because we don't want it to go over or not.
Got you.
So okay. So I'm setting it up right now for November's extra stream for the community goal, even though it's not officially October, but it is the first stream since the last one was one. And we've already done September's extra stream. So November's extra stream is still going to be 1,000 XP or channel points for those that are not familiar.
Is it 1,000 or 10,000?
10,000.
Okay.
It's still going to be 10,000. We're going to set that up right now. Start. Okay. So as officially right now, the community goal has started for y'all to do a November extra stream. and we will figure out exactly what that one will be. And then as for the October extra stream, as Kage mentioned, either tonight or tomorrow, I will be posting something in the community Discord for y'all to vote on, so we can figure out what we're gonna do, because we do like having the topic chosen by the community.
Definitely.
Once we've had some options out there. If you are new and you are wanting to do that poll and join in, you can join the Discord. Link is in chat. And then, yeah, so that's going to be, I think, the biggest update. We had a pretty successful extra stream just this past weekend. We were able to cover a lot of good details on the history of Divine Power. Had 2 really successful cocktails created.
Yes. Oh my
the
gosh.
Ritual Sacrifice, which was, my personal favorite. That's the bittersweet shot.
I still love that name, the story, the way it goes together is perfect.
Yeah, I think at the right, like if you were at a Halloween themed night at a bar, or even at like a macabre bar, or a Day of the Dead type bar, I think that would be kind of a good shot with a good story to tell. There's a lot of good situations where something like that is. And then Ethereal Elixir, also fantastic. So I'm really happy that we got
and
that.
I like the name that we got.
That came in from chat. So good on chat for doing that.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, very, very happy with it. We're looking forward to next month. And yeah, I think we're going to keep doing those. I am constantly thinking of different ways to do extra streams, because while that one was fun, I don't know if we would want to do that over and over and over and over again, right? The idea of just doing an extra, long deep dive and extra history with some cocktails. So we really enjoyed what y'all did the stream before that, which you guys were rapid firing cocktail name ideas.
That was sick.
And we were having fun trying to figure out how
to put it together.
Yeah, what that cocktail would entail. So what I am thinking of is I did put the name Critical Cocktails aside for a stream title.
Yes.
So I wonder if that would be really fun to do, is we stream from the tavern and we just interact with chat. They give us drink names. We try to put them together, and every so often, if we have the ingredients for it, we try to put it together
and try it out.
And we try it out. I don't know how long that would go. Like, I don't know how to fill a lot of the time, because we'd have to have a lot of people trying to throw in a lot of drink ideas. So that's one idea. We've talked about doing IRL streams, like trying to figure out how to do that, but I think that might be next year once we get some better gear for that.
Right.
I'm trying to think of what else we would actually want to expand on outside. Oh yeah, we've talked about doing creations like live on stream. So we're given like a prompt, or like Aki was mentioning in the other stream, dice rolls that we have to figure out how to build something off of what.
Yeah, that would be very cool. That would be very cool. I like that idea too.
Based on what our schedule and how much time I'm going to be able to put into it, that's what I have to figure out tonight or tomorrow morning to post the poll to chat on what we can fit.
Okay.
Because that's the other thing, right? It's not
that's fair.
It's not just what we are capable of, but it's, do we have the time and the prep and the availability to get it done before that stream, right?
True.
Like, with this last one, I had over a month to figure it out, but I had to go buy alcohol. I had to go, figure a bunch of, different combinations out before we could like land on something. So I have to kind of start keeping that in mind, even though we have a 30 days ahead of schedule. It's like, I still got to figure it out between now and then. When am I going to have time to do all that? So that will be interesting. We have Hecate with a third. Oh, interesting. We have all out of order, but that's cool. Y'all want to be out of order? I don't mind. Y'all can do what you do.
Welcome, Hecate. Shalom, my
There's
friend.
your 5, Hecate, for your third. Third is first, apparently. First,
because nobody else ever
things first.
Nobody else actually buys the first or second,
which was funny because I actually made the comment the other day that no one ever buys third and second. Like there's always someone who grabs first and then third and second. Never
then nobody else
later
even bothers. Wild.
It's fine.
Wild. You guys need them points.
Hecate subscribed. What for a third month? Thank you, Hecate.
Bro, Hecate.
Oh, that is awesome.
We appreciate you, bro.
Man, 3 months. Jesus,
It feels wild.
wow. I can't believe we've been affiliate that long.
We just
Like,
just got there, man. I'm still
wow.
excited using these emojis every time I get the
seriously,
chance.
I use the crap out of these all the time, and I'm just like, man, has it been 3 months since we made affiliate? Man, wow.
Bro,
That is
that's
so
awesome.
that is crazy. Thank you all. Thank all of you.
Thank you guys for
You've
being
all
here.
been so instrumental in getting us here. And it's crazy that we're keeping. I mean, we're at episode 125. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even
man.
how many episodes we've done in total. That's just like the actual,
Exactly.
our little podcast thing here.
Goodness.
I never know what to call it. It's a podcast. It's a live stream.
It's
yeah. D&D discussions. That's what
It is D&D discussions. It is its thing. 100%.
But again, thank you, Hecate. It is excellent
Yes.
to have you. Thank you so much for the support. But yeah, so other than that, y'all earned last month. That was a fantastic extra stream. Once again, you guys got October's extra stream, so that'll be happening on the 20th. That is a Sunday. The goal will be to start around noon, and we will do the same thing, shoot for a minimum of 4 hours guaranteed, and then we will go as far as we can after that. But the 4 to 6 is usually the goal, and then we'll figure out exactly what we want to do with you guys in Discord. So
Sweet.
other than that, I don't think we have any other major updates. I think that was it.
I think we're groovy
in
for the most
recovery
part.
from the last
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a lot of alcohol, but that was just an exhausting day.
It was a long day. It was a long day.
All of that talking, all of that hanging out, and then on top of that, all of the alcohol. Yeah, that was.
But I mean, it was a good, nice little bonus.
Yeah, it was
you know.
exhausting. Well, for us, it was like, for you, it was like 6 hours. For them, it was 5 hours, and for me, it was like 10 hours.
Yeah,
So,
because you got up early to get all that stuff squared away.
and the night before. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm still in
Wild.
recovery mode, but that's fine. We do it all for the fans because y'all deserve it. But anyway, I think that's enough rambling. I think we can get into our topic today. Do we ever hear from Pokeniner?
No. So
Fortunate.
wildly enough, Pokeniner updated me on his subclass just before, because he saw that I tagged him that he was going to be coming
okay.
up.
So since the last okay.
So this was like end of Monday or Tuesday last week. So I know at least they know what's happening, but I have not seen them. Maybe they'll show up a little bit later, hopefully. But yeah.
Aw. Hecate says, of course, and honestly, one of my favorite streams to enjoy with the wife and kids. She's close about D&D, but she loves the banter and the deep talks. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate that.
Well,
Thank you,
hopefully, maybe
Hecate.
at the end of all of this, maybe something will seep in and D&D will start to make sense. But otherwise,
Right.
I'm glad the banter is good and entertaining. So
Listen.
we're very thankful for that. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Here for it. Here for it.
All right, so let's begin with today's subclass with our review, and hopefully Pokeniner will be able to
Jump in here
show up
pretty soon.
hopefully we won't get anything wrong this time. Oh, that is another thing that we should probably do. I know, was it Dez? I think it was no. Was it Dez
Oh
or Sol?
yes, no, it was Des.
Dez. Okay,
It was Dez.
Dez
I am
wasn't
sorry.
Here, last time or right now, but we did make a pretty big blunder. Last review. So we were doing,
And it was my fault because I'm the one who sees the originals, and then I do the transition. And when
Pokeniner, what up?
Pokeniner is here, welcome, awesome. But so and Pokeniner, you'll appreciate this because I know you saw that review and you were in the chat talking about how wild it was. But in Dez's original that he sent to me, it was the Banshee subclass, that summons that he got, where you're basically summoning the Banshee. It did not have a 27 AC. It had a 15 AC. Its hit points were still 120, but the AC was not as egregious as it appeared to be. So I believe I corrected everything. If you guys go and check the leaderboard and you go look at the file, you should be able to see the new and correct stats on everything. So hopefully it's all squared away. But
Sorry, Pokeniner,
you know.
I didn't say I didn't do the pre-roll ad. We
Oh.
were talking about it and I didn't do it.
rip.
Oh yeah, so you've already updated it. I see that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, when we were doing, when we were looking at this, the capstone was being able to summon the Banshee that gave you the sorcerer bloodline. You know,
Yes.
the Banshee that's been cursing your family. And instead of 27, which we were thinking, that's basically
Like how you, it's unkillable. It's like you're just gonna have this
basically
like
you were just
massive
summoning
tank.
God. Which, it was like, that was a choice. with that we thought that was 27, thought that was too much, but even with a 15, which is still an increase, it's from 12 to 15.
I believe so.
Standard.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily egregious, but I don't know if it would have fully changed the score simply because the capstone wasn't that big of a shift. Because my biggest, consideration though is regardless of the armor score or the armor class, you're giving it 120 hit points out of like the 58 it normally has. So you're giving it, about twice as many hit points. You're giving it a slightly better armor class, but you're also reducing its number one ability, which is Whale. So in the end of the day, it didn't feel, it's not that yes, it felt unbalanced with the 27, but re-looking at it with the 15, it's not as unbalanced, but it's even less satisfying. It's now just a slightly more annoying Banshee that isn't as powerful. You know what I mean? So I would call it more powerful, but it's not. It's actually a weaker Banshee that's just more annoying because it just takes longer. And I think I mentioned like off stream when you told me that it's only basically adding 2 rounds then. If it were at 15 AC, you're adding 2
at that high level
normal. Yeah, you're only going to add an extra 2 rounds of a normal Banshee combat, but it's also not nearly as devastating because it won't kill you outright. It will only reduce you to 1. So for me, I don't know if it would change my overall score, but it does deserve to be said that it wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it was.
For sure.
Because it was pretty harsh to say that at 27 AC was something that you could just summon. And at the time it was like you could summon it for like indefinitely.
No, it was just for a minute.
Oh,
it was only for a minute, but then you didn't get it back for like, what was it, 1d4 days or something like that? Oh yeah,
and then we were like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. And then when we saw the 27, we're like, oh, you're summoning God. Yeah, no wonder you don't get it back for several days. And then there was like, some problems with that too. I totally forgot that it took several days to get it back. That's one of the other reasons why we were like, this isn't really a great capstone, even if at, basically summoning God level. Like, why don't you just summon a bunch of hit point damage instead of a summon, right? Like, might as well just be a big thing. So, Cosmic with the 2,000 to the challenge or with the extra stream. Awesome.
I love it. Thank you.
Sorry for the ads, Pokeniner. That was all my bad. I didn't do the pre-roll thing. It also took away what made a Banshee. A Banshee, it also made the encounter unfun to deal with as a DM. Oh, are you talking about just the idea of this Banshee in general, like outside of the 27 or the 27 AC in terms of like removing
it was just
the
hard
and just making it more HP?
I understand that a lot of DMs just dislike the idea of just adding more content to the encounter, because then it's more initiative to pay attention to. It's more roles that you have to worry about. It can feel like more of a hassle rather than a excitement to the fight.
I would have totally preferred, I think I said this, like removing the summon and just getting more Banshee powers yourself.
I think you mentioned, and I agree with you, is a transformation instead of almost like a druid transformation. Like, let me turn into this Banshee for a while, and then you can knock me out of the form or whatever the case may be.
And this form makes sense, right? 120 hit points, 15 AC. When it gets finally knocked down, you can't kill them with your own whale, but you can knock them down. And maybe it's a percentage thing. Maybe you can only knock them down at 50% of their current. Which would actually be still devastating, no matter what their hit points are. If you could transform into a Banshee and then your whale is 50% of their current, no matter what, that's devastating. At any point in the battle, that still sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, that could have been a better route too. Hecate says, interested in seeing the minion fights later.
We were talking about doing another stream topic of like doing like battles of
well, I know we were talking about like the sidekick one. We were talking about like sidekick, but I'm trying to remember what the minion idea was.
Maybe it was sidekicks.
Remind us, Hecate, what was the minion fight? I had to go rewatch the stream because I remember we were talking. I remember I have written down the sidekick fight, like making the sidekicks into.
Very much so. I remember that.
Doing an arena with once we've made them into characters, but I don't remember minions specifically.
Okay, I will.
It was a long stream though, so
if I can remember what stream we were talking about that in. Then
I know at one point. Oh yeah, no, and then the drinks were the ones that you were going to transcribe. And
yes,
so we can get those ideas back. Minions from the subclass and spells.
like all the ones that have been submitted to us. So like take the Banshee for instance and put it up against that undead thing that you get from.
Oh, I think we did talk about that. Like take whatever summons or whatever
Right.
little things that you get.
Because some of the spells will summon that stuff.
Interesting. I do remember.
I mean,
okay, we need to write that down now. Let's write that down. So subclass and spell minion battles. We'll just call it that. Spell and subclass minion battles. That would be interesting. Because once you get into like a necromancer, it's going to be really interesting to be like, because you'll have to do them at different levels, right? Like a first level versus a 10th level. I mean, you got to imagine a necromancer is going to win, right?
I mean,
like at some point, well, because it's not him, it's his minions. So do you get to count one minion, or at a certain level, does a necromancer get to count as like a horde? We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah,
we'll have to talk about that.
We'll make it work. We'll make it work. But no, I like that idea.
Yeah, Pokeniner also brings up an aspect too. The Banshee summon was also kind of unlimited, or no, the ability, the whale was basically unlimited. I think.
How do you mean?
Because since you can summon new forms of that Banshee. Oh yeah, because it was like, well no, because you can only summon that Banshee once, but rules as it was written, you can only summon it every 1d something 4 days.
Yeah,
right? Like,
1d4 plus 1 days or something like that.
Yeah, so there wasn't really a way to resummon the Banshee once it was done. Once you've done it once, so I don't remember how that was. Oh, that's right. But you could do the 11 sorcery points. Remember, it had the trade in.
Oh, you could, without 1d4 or spend that many, and you would get those back every day. So you could technically do it every day.
And you have spell cannibalization.
Oh yeah, you could. Yeah.
So no matter what, your Banshee goes down. You cannibalize. You cast it again. It gets whaled.
I mean, you'll never get to cast any spells because you're just gonna be cannibalized.
But you need it.
Exactly. It's just like you have this unkillable bodyguard that's just always out there.
Oh, it's killable. It's summonable again. Yeah, that's right.
Relentless bodyguard. There you go.
Oh yeah, and then we did comment about how 11 was just a very
odd.
I'm curious if it was just intended to be basically you have to give up ever casting a spell in order to be able to.
I would say it was 11 just because 11 is one more than half, so you can't do it twice, back to back.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Is it's supposed to max you out as much as possible? So. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting read. So yeah, we just wanted to cover the fact that we did make that mistake. We wanted to address it. But once we've gone through it all, at the end of the day, I don't think it would fundamentally have changed the overall rating.
The rate.
Minion Rumble.
Minion Rumble.
There we go. Nice. That's what we need to call it. Minion Rumble. But yeah, so just wanted to cover that before we moved on. So yeah, if you guys ever see us make a mistake, if we reread something or if we read something wrong, or if you notice that we have something transcribed wrong, please let us know. We are absolutely going to call ourselves out on our mistakes and do not mind
100%.
Making sure we get that correction. So now we can begin on, and now the Pokeniners here. Now we can begin. So now we have the subclass Sacred Oath, the Paladin subclass Oath of Progress. I'm very curious, and the Zenith side of my brain is definitely tingling. As the god of personal growth, I want to hear more.
Interesting.
Pokeniner wants to make sure we got the updated link. I believe that's.
I did get the updated link. I should have everything. So I believe the biggest change was in this initial description. There was a couple of other pieces, I believe, somewhere else that had some adjustments. But and correct me if I'm wrong, Pokeniner. But yeah, I think we should be up to date. I will pull up that link just in case I need to make any additional corrections as we go along, but I feel like we should be good to go.
Sweet. So yeah, just let us know immediately in chat if you see anything that's off, and then we will try to see if we have any other issues. But let us begin the Oath of Progress. The Oath of Progress summons paladins who pledge themselves to the relentless pursuit of change and the boundless energy of constant motion. These trailblazers, as they're called, embody a purpose driven by unwavering determination and the impact of momentum. All right, I'm already off. I'm so off. Okay. Zenith is slightly disappointed, but he's still listening.
He's like,
but
I mean, like a little bit, but also
like
lightweight Juggernaut vibes.
But it was like, he was just like, progress? Oh, motion, momentum? Okay. like suddenly I'm not as excited because I'm feeling like this might be not going the way I thought it was.
That's all right. That's all right.
Whether charging through the fray or navigating treacherous terrains, they forge paths of unyielding advance, overcoming obstacles with swift strikes and resolute resilience. These paladins can be found at the forefront of expeditions, leading the charge with unparalleled speed and agility. They are drawn to places where the spirit of advancement is palpable, and where the ideas are nurtured and embraced. From expansive trade routes to the hearts of bustling marketplaces, they lend their swift blades and unwavering resolve to protect the relentless march of progress. Okay, so my brain is trying to like constantly figure out where this is going. So it's a unique lore. I will say that it's not off-putting, but I will say that it's off the bat for me without any context outside of just the name in this description. I will say I have absolutely no idea where we're going with this. Because at first, Oath of Progress, I'm thinking, again, Zenith, right? Personal growth. I'm thinking, okay, the Oath of Progress, getting better accomplishments, pushing the boundaries, right? But then I saw things like energy, motion, determination, momentum. Then I'm thinking, is this a monk? Like, it's starting to feel like the ideologies of a monk, right? I believe in just constantly going with the flow. But then we go, to unyielding advance, overcoming obstacles, swift strikes. I'm okay. So we're back to Zenith, right? We're back to just personal growth, overcoming those things, striving for better, which is Zenith's motto. But then we get into exploration or expedition, speed and agility. Again, now we're exploration, we're pushing the boundaries, but now we're back at monk feel. And then we have the spirit of advancement. And we have, trade routes, marketplaces, the swift blade to protect progress. And I'm like, so out of all of that, I guess where I'm landing is like, this is the epitome, instead of like the paladin of a church, like the cleric to paladin mentality, I see this as like, this is the paladin of like a town guard or like the king's guard. Like this is like it's giving me the vibes of like, this is the general of like, not like a full-on army, but like the general of like the town guard or like, a place that has its own militia or its own army, but not like,
I would almost say not I would say that it would be something outside of like a town guard that's located in one place, but it almost feels like their job is to like go and conquer and progress.
So
and
like a forward, a forward unit. Like they're the ones put like actually.
Yes, like
forward.
I need you to like go and do this thing, or go and accomplish this thing, or go and take over this thing, or I get the idea of a train, right? Because a train is supposed to take you somewhere, and also a train is something that you don't want to get in the way of because it will take you out, and it is constant motion. It is always headed towards where it's trying to go. Like that's kind of the attitude, like kind of like the duality. Like, yes, there's like the physical version of constant motion, but there's also the mental idea of continually moving forward and overcoming obstacles.
And there's also like the relentless march of progress. So that also can be considered like invention, like development.
Yes.
It could be going from, you want towns and places to be built of stone and of metal and not of straw and wood, right? So yeah, it's very interesting. Pokeniners giving us some insights in chat. Think of improving the world and improving oneself. So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely getting like that vibe, of that. But yeah, maybe work with the wording a little bit, just because for me personally, and again, this is just the way that I read words in my experience of what I use them for. When I think of progress, the first thing that, the march of progress, I'm thinking that makes me think of like development, right? Going from straw to wood to stone to metal. Like I think of that level of progress.
Sure.
The progress of, hey, we're in this town and we know of the town over, but this guy's going to take some supplies and he's going to see what's over that mountain ridge. That level of progress. So I'm seeing like, hey, I'm in town, I'm this paladin, and someone says I'm going to go trek through that treacherous mountain range because we've heard there might be a town over there. And so we're like, but it would take 4.5 months because you have to go around this thing. I'm gonna trailblaze and find a path through the mountain that takes.
I'm gonna
3
cut
weeks.
through it. Yeah.
That's this paladin going, I will go with you. I'll be your protector, right? Because these people, right? You think of a regular trade route and a regular tradesman and a merchant. They're gonna be like, hey, I need some bodyguards because we're gonna go this trade route which has bandits. But when someone says, hey, I'm gonna take a bunch of supplies and it normally takes 4 months, I think I can get there in 3 weeks. But I'm going this way no one's ever gone before.
And it's
most of the people are going to be
dangerous.
like, I ain't touching that. I'll deal with the bandits. I can handle bandits. I can't handle the unknown. That's where this guy comes in. This is that I don't care what the unknown is. I want to make sure that
I feel that.
see the progress. So that's where
I for sure feel
that's
that.
where I would maybe change some of the verbiages. And for me, it's just because when I think of like boundless energy, constant motion, impact of momentum, that's not necessarily giving me the ideology that this is an adventurer. It's more of a, that's giving me that like martial artist, right? It's giving me, it's not giving
I do see where that
I'm here to travel and explore, or not necessarily travel and explore, but I'm here to make sure that those can travel and explore. Because that's another unique aspect, right? Because every adventurer can have the idea behind their character of, well, I want to see the world. But imagine a character who doesn't care, who doesn't revel in those beautiful moments, right? You're there with the party, you're at the top of a mountain, you have a nice vista view, everyone's just sitting there. I know that's like pedant, or repetitive to say that, but you're at a nice vista and everyone has a nice view. It's great for them to look out on it, and you have this paladin here and he's not looking out and enjoying the view and going, no one's ever seen this before. He's looking at the party going, they made it and they will continue to make it. That's his moment of, I got them here.
I feel that. I very much feel that.
I feel like that's where the verbiage should be going, is this is a paladin of, I was able to do what they thought not possible. Like they were able to do what not thought possible. I'm not here to see what they want to see. I'm not here to make the road.
My accomplishment is you accomplishing your thing.
Yes,
right?
Is doing it in a way that people didn't think could be done. And this will forever change that, change us, right? This will now be the new trade route. So I'm digging that idea. I just think that some of the verbiage is throwing me off. And it took me a minute to get to that stage of, okay, I see where we're trying to push this. But yeah, so I'm getting it. I'm really liking this idea, right? So it's not so much oath of progress of oneself. It's more about the oath of progress in terms of, I will make sure that we as a people, the world itself doesn't stagnate. I will be there to hop on the boat that's going to sail a new sea. I will be there on the trade route.
It's like it's your job to keep the world continuing to turn.
Yeah, it's the oath of,
okay,
I will always be at the front line, never in the middle. I will always be pushing. Yeah, okay, I like that. So maybe adding some of that, like instead of the boundless energy and constant motion, maybe pushing the boundaries. This is the paladin. I know I am the one that will find, push pat beyond the tree. I will climb the new mountain. I will, I will sail the new ocean, right? Like those kind of verbiage, those kind of like, I think ideologies would be better put in here.
Okay.
To represent this idea of progress. That's how the verbiage I would be looking for is like, what is that paladin saying to himself? There's no tree, there's no forest thick.
I will say
there's no mountain tall enough to stop me, right? There
is something I do like about paladins specifically, is that they actually, most paladins, and I'm pretty sure Pokeniner added them in here, but they actually have tenets of their oath that you can actually read through, and they'll
nice.
have basically those things that they are saying to themselves, those things that they are attached to, those things that like mean something to them, that have connected them to their oath that they're walking after. So
but yeah, I really like this though. I love this idea of someone so dedicated to the betterment of everything else but they're not the ones to do the better thing. They're the ones making sure the better thing can get done, right?
They're the facilitators.
Exactly, right? Whether that means, and again, you look at paladins, you think of them as being very selfless. You think of them as like the uber cleric, right? They will more likely give up their bed and sleep in the dirt because that would appease, their god. in something like this, you could see it as you go into town and the town needs water and you're the first one to pick up a shovel and go start digging. And you're like, dig what? A trench. There's water a mile that way. Dig a trench will bring you water, right? Like that's this paladin. This is the paladin who says, stop arguing. What's the problem? And then just
let's do it.
Action and just says, this is how we make this work, right? They're the ones who say, stop arguing about where the well goes and start digging the hole.
Yeah.
You know, I like the idea of having that strong figure because we really don't have that represented in a class. You can have that represented in a personality, but you don't have that represented because we've talked about this where classes are a lot more than just something you choose. So having a personality where that's what you are. You were the person who says, let's stop talking and let's make action. I kind of like having a class that represents that. Someone who's like, I can't be sitting still.
I stand on business. That's kind of like their motto. I stand on business. Let's fucking go.
And my business is moving forward.
Yes.
I like this. And I almost like it almost as a, you could almost consider this again, thinking more of this as not just a class, as almost a character flaw, where if there's absolutely nothing new around, like let's say you're in a town and you've done all the new stuff and you're like, hey, we need some extra money, or what do we want to do next? And they're like, oh, well, the king's ordering us back and he says that he has another job for us. I could see this paladin be like, no, you know what? I've just heard from the bar, there's a cave 4.5 days travel from here. No one's ever been in it in 1,000 years. Let's go. Just like the character perk of, I can't just keep doing jobs, guys. I have to go out.
Our job is to keep moving forward, not going backwards. I don't want to be stuck in a rut doing the same thing over and over again. I want to trailblaze. They even said trailblaze, right?
Be a trailblazer. And this would be a unique opportunity to add that into your character profile and basically like not be repetitive, not have like that, because we get into those routines where as soon as battle starts, we know exactly what things we're going to do. Maybe utilizing that to be like, I'm always going to be looking for something new. I'm going to be trying something new with this character, right? Like expanding the feats, being able to try new combinations. So there's a lot of different ways that you could really like pull this out and actually emphasize what this means for that character instead of it just being, oh, I'm a paladin who wants to get behind progress, right? And that's what I feel like is missing sometimes when you choose that.
For sure.
But we've gone over that a lot. All right, so we got a picture here. Okay. So I actually like this in terms of a very modest, like clerical or a very paladin look, right? You still got a decent amount of armor, but you're not looking at full plate mail. You're not looking at like it's not showy and too much. Of the time you think of paladins as gaudy in the terms of like overzealous, over.
But I feel like that fits with their MO too, because they're not. A lot of the times these guys, their job is to be scary and to like destroy the things and be like a gallant warrior. These guys aren't really focused on being warriors. They're focused on action and taking care of things.
So
and
everything they should
be
have
more
on them
mobile
to be
is
practical. Not just mobile, but like if you're going to go in this forest, like you want forest clothes. If you're going to go to the desert, you're going to get desert wear, right? You're not just going to be dedicated to your churches or you're not going to be dedicated to one suit. You're going to actually make sense of what you're going to be trying to do.
For sure.
So I like that. And it's also kind of gets old.
They shouldn't be weighed down according to Pokeniner.
Yes, exactly. And I also don't like the idea that when paladins are shown as like, basically look like armored popes. It looks a little bit bad though, because like for me, it's like, but if you read what paladins are all about, their whole deal is giving up their money. So the idea that they're in these like
gaudy
adorned things, like, that's like the last thing they would have spent their money on, unless it was given to them by their church. And that makes sense for like the highest of the high paladins. But like low level paladins, I mean, like if the church isn't supplying you, you're gonna literally buy the bare minimum and then give the rest of your money away, right? Like, so it is kind of interesting. So I do like the approach of minimalism for pure versatility and situationalism, right? That's what this with this class kind of deserves. So it's gonna be curious to see how that represents in terms of like what armor proficiencies they would get. All right, so before we get into all of this, because this is all basically on third level, so what are we looking at in terms of the first 3 levels for Paladin? I think it's our first time doing a Paladin.
This is our first time doing Paladin, so we're going to go over the majority of the basics. So first level, you get something called Divine Sense. Divine Sense is basically an ability for an action. You can, within, I believe it is 60 feet of you, you can detect the presence of any celestial, fiend, or undead. You know generally like the amount and the relative distance from you, not like exact locations or anything like that. Also, I believe the only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't like pierce like total cover. So if they're like underground from you or something, you're not going to be able to see. But if they're like around the corner or like on the other side of a door, like that's fine. Like you'll probably be able to detect them. Second level, or not second level, still at first level, you get something called Lay on Hands. So this is your Paladin level times 5. Your Paladin level times 5. So when you're level 1,
Gotcha.
you get 5 of these points, and all you got to do is touch somebody, and you can give them a select number of hit points up to your maximum number. So at first level, you can give somebody 5 hit points, or you can just, I only want to give you 1, right? That's what I really like about this kind of like lightweight healing ability for the Paladins. You have the ability to like choose how much. So it's almost like Spare the Dying, except I just can give you 1 hit point. I get 5 uses of this, right?
Gotcha.
So it's a very interesting way to like be able to use different things, and like certain spells will say you have to receive some sort of healing before this can go away, right? Like certain bleed effects or something like that. You have to receive some sort of healing effect in order for this to stop, and just 1 point of that will allow this person to like actually end one of those conditions or something of that effect. So I think that's a really cool way to do that, but that's really all Paladins get when it comes to healing. Like they just have that. So like at level 10, they'll have, what is it, 50 of these, I think, because it's your level times 5. Yeah. So it's not too bad.
But it's still, yeah. So, you know, I do like adding the action economy of it, or at least like keeping track and having it as a resource is kind of nice, because kind of like what Pokeniner was saying in chat, you know, going away from Paladins, you know, being linked to being, you know, a more like cleric style spellcaster, having them have their own level and their own style of healing, I think is kind of a nice change up, instead of it being relied upon similar to clerics.
Yeah.
And you know, and not so, you know, or similar to like druids where it's just spellcasting focused. I do kind of like that it's almost like their own version of a you know, like sorcery points just for healing.
Yeah, kind of, you know, a little bit,
or like, you know, kai point, or you know,
key points for the monks and stuff,
right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The small little changes that each one of them get to make it, you know, feel their own. I kind of dig that
for sure. So that's first level, Lay on Hands and Divine Sense. Second level, you get a fighting style, which we've been over before. You get, you know, you can go in for defense, dueling, kind of basically picking out like what type of fighter you're going to be: defensive fighter, a dueler, an archer, or whatever. And then you also get Divine Smite. This is where you get to expend a spell slot to basically do extra damage. And so I believe it is, you get 2d8 for each spell slot of first level, and then an additional d8 for each slot higher. So if you did a third or a second level spell slot, it would be 3d8. And then I think it's, and you can go up to a maximum of 6d8. So you can't like do a 9th level and do like, what would that be? 11 d8. Yeah, it's only up to 6, a maximum of 6.
1d8 plus 1d8 for each spell slot.
Yes,
2d8 at base. Pokemon was also saying that they can actually expend what 5 points to end a certain conditions
for Lay on Hands. That is true. I forgot about that. Yeah. So I believe it is like conditions like poisoned, or like basic conditions, anything that lesser restoration will like blinded, or I don't know if it can do things up to like petrified or anything like that.
It's
but
so fascinating to me, like, again, just from a lore point of view, what Wizards of the Coast has done for the lore and the ideas behind, like, again, now you have someone who can just believe in something so hard that they can cure the blind. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where I understand we've talked about it a lot, where it's fine. I understand why they did it, but when you really kind of like, when you compare it from the traditional mindset of why Paladins had those powers, and then you try to just apply it to an oath, it's basically saying someone believes in something so hard that they can cure the blind. And I'm just like, that's hilarious.
It's kind of wild.
Okay,
it's kind of wild.
But that's where it's like, it's going to be more interesting the more we get to know 2024 5e. That's coming out in 2025. But it's going to be more interesting as that develops, and as we get to know more about that whole, setup.
Right.
Things like, Smite are changing.
Yes.
And it's getting cray.
I am very interested. I'm trying to find a good resource that side by side compares the two, because I
think everybody's waiting for that.
There's a lot of like videos and stuff out there that'll talk about the differences, but I want to be able to like look at like, okay, here's where you can actually feel
I'm sure
out.
some's doing it, but until all the books get released, they're not going to be able to do
fair.
that. But I'm sure it will come out soon. So if you find that, let us know. We will share that in the Discord.
For sure. Outside of that, I think you get spell casting at second level as well. It's very basic spell casting. They are half casters, so they're only ever going to get 5th level spell slots,
which is why it maxes out at a 5d8.
Yes, and charisma is their spell casting modifier for paladins. And they also get the use of a holy symbol for their spell casting focus.
What is a burst mechanic?
A what?
A burst mechanic. Pokeniner, can you
I don't know if I'm familiar.
Pokeniner, can you elaborate on what you mean by burst mechanic?
Unbalanced burst mechanics. So
like
I will
AoE?
I think it's like referring to being able to like pump in extra damage.
Oh, like after the fact, like whatever.
I don't know if it's specifically after the fact or before, but like burst. I think the idea of a burst mechanic is where you're like doing like nuke damage or like doing like extra big damage.
Just ways to add damage to an effect like in a moment. Yeah,
right.
Well, and we've talked about this too. It's like, just the idea of current day smite being a choice, right? Like like not being a choice before the fact, but it's after the fact. Is very, again, it definitely adds just a weird layer of where's that coming from, right? Like where's the fuel ideology coming from if it's not like predetermined that you're going to do it, where are you pumping that from? And if it's not fueled by a god, because that does make sense. If you are bound by a god can be like, oh, you made contact, oh hell yeah, we're let that go through. But if you're just like, you're just feeling it that day, I'm extra feeling it today, like it is kind of funny. But again, that's what Wizards of the Coast has done to what we look at as lore, is like the more open they make it, the more convoluted the lore kind of gets. At least older lore, like
right.
The longer you've had your realms running, the more open it gets, the harder it is to explain why this is actually working. Outside of it works because players enjoy it more. And again, we've always said, if everyone's having fun, you're not doing it wrong. So at the end of the day, it's all for the right reasons, but it may not necessarily be the best approach, but everyone's enjoying it. So what can we really say, right? Like,
facts.
We're not the ones making millions of dollars a year on this shit.
100%. If only.
We're making tens of cents a year right now. So I think maybe I can just keep my mouth shut. what is good and what isn't.
Listen,
I did see that GIF in there. I could say that was funny. Fireball could be considered a burst mechanic. Can it?
I mean, are you really adding damage unless you're like upcasting it after the fact? Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't.
Oh, just in terms of sheer damage output it presents. So just the idea of single point instantaneous damage. I think that's the idea of burst.
Interesting.
Damage. Just single point damage that just happens. Right?
I mean, yes, I'd say. What's the one? Disintegrate. I mean, granted, that's a high level spell, but still, like, that's wild.
Yeah,
that's freaking wild.
Okay, so I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious because I saw a little bit of what 24 did to Smite, but it is kind of weird. I think there did some weird oddities to it on like what you can apply it to. So.
Interesting. I have not taken a look at that. I mean, I could if you wanted, real quick.
It's fine now. I just at some point, well, when 2024 comes more available, we'll definitely start to look into that more.
Sure.
But okay, so at third level, we finally get to choose our oath and what we're going to be.
Yes.
What we're going to be doing, right? So we're going to be choosing the Oath of Progress, and then we get our Tenets of Progress, which we actually mentioned before. Like that's always a good thing to have. So tenets of the Oath of Progress reflect the ideas of change and self-reflection that encompasses a paladin's journey. These three tenets are key to the oath's solidarity. Embrace change. I must learn to thrive when embracing the winds of change, seizing the opportunities it presents for growth and progress. So trying to just not stay stuck in your ways is a good way to like emphasize that in terms of role play. Like not being stuck in your ways, having a character who's open-minded, constantly choosing the newer, unexplored route or the road less traveled.
He's usually against people thinking, oh, that's the way we've always done it, or this is tradition. And I mean, like, well, if
like if you have a tried and true method, trying something new because it could be better. Like always suggesting that the risk outweighs or the reward outweighs the risk if it's potentially new and inviting. So I like that. Walk, not run. There's a difference between progress and haste. I must recognize that progress is not in completing the journey, but learning from it.
Okay.
So it does mean that you're not just running into a dark hallway because
you're not just changing just to change.
Yeah. Or you're not just taking the unknown just because it's unknown. You're taking the best path forward. So you always still take the correct path forward as long as it's the right path, as long as it's going forward.
Yes. As long as it's forward. And I think that's huge.
Okay. And then lead by example. Through unwavering conviction and relentless pursuit, I hope to inspire others to embrace change, forge their own path, and unleash their true potential. So this could come across in roleplay as being very encouraging. It could be dialoguing with other party members, getting interested in like their backstories, looking at what their personal agendas are, helping them accomplish things.
Being the first to go do a thing and like showing other people, hey, this is possible. Hey, you can come follow me. Like if you need to like swing across a bridge or something like that, it might be scary or dangerous. Like you'll be the first one to like go across, make sure everybody else can test the rope, make sure everybody else will make it or whatever the case may be.
Like a Pokeniner has a different approach. His mindset was, your way kind of sucks. Might I suggest something? That's another way to do it.
I mean, facts.
Okay. So I'm digging this. So yeah, so we're still on this ideology of, so what, let's see here.
Got some hydration and posture checking.
Oh, good.
I'm using the wrong stuff to hydrate myself. That's the problem.
Thank you, appreciate that. So here's where I think I'm getting some holdups. And maybe it's just because I think I'm just being held up on the term progress. You know what I mean? I think that every time we get a different like descriptor of what the Paladin's all about, it's like it is personal, but it's also in general. Like it's like I think one of the issues that I'm running into is I feel like I have yet to really get a hold of exactly what I'm a Paladin. What exactly, like I get it. I'm about progress. I'm about pushing things forward. I'm about learning. I'm about taking the right way forward. But leading by example feels very generic leadership quality. The idea of like generalized, field of progress. Like I just don't know if this is really solidified it in my mind, like as a player. Like we've talked about how I can represent this.
If there's going to be multiple paladins of this, then like I want to see a common theme throughout them. I don't want them all taking this and adopting it in their own completely contradictory ways. Like
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I'm going to take on like this, and this is all I have, right? I'm reading through it. I feel like I should have a much better, more clear picture. Not like it's telling me exactly how I have to use it, but I don't know if I've truly gotten the picture of what am I supposed to represent other than wanting to be better than I was yesterday.
Interesting. So it looks like Pokeniner says lead by example shows that your action is clear, not always seen. It says you can lead by example doesn't mean those will that others will always follow.
I mean, that's true. I mean, yeah, lead by example is just leading by, practicing what you preach, basically.
Right. You're the example and the leading is this is who I am. This is what I do. Whether you follow me or not is up to you.
But again, relating that directly to an oath of progress to me is a little loose. Like that's good leadership quality, lead by example, regardless of what they think.
Yeah.
But that's not that to me doesn't directly equate to progress. That just equates to confidence, right? So I think that's where I'm at that point to where for my interpretation, that's the one thing I feel like I'm lacking is a very clear picture. And we haven't even gotten the abilities yet. So keep in mind, we don't really know where the subclass itself is going. I'm just looking at it from the lore, from the mindset of what am I bringing into my character other than the abilities? How do I add this into how to play the character? This is giving me ways to go about how to play, but I don't know if it's really giving me the picture of like, this is what I'm all about. I am about, again, like if it were about like the progress of, like just technology, like the idea that you just want to see us get better. But this is just kind of almost feeling a little bit generalized in, you just want to be a good person and be better than you were yesterday, which is fine. I just don't know if it feels
honed in enough.
Homing in for an oath.
Okay.
So we'll see as we get to the powers too, how that's going to change. Because again, these are all just words so far. Like interpretation of words is difficult because everybody has a different experience with what they're trying to, what they get from them.
Right.
Kind of like what Pokeniner was saying, where, leading by example has a lot of different interpretations based on what that means to you.
Right.
It's to help players not get conflicted with stagnation. And I totally get that, right? Like I totally like the idea of getting to building it in that you want to try new stuff.
Yeah.
Not just stick with the same old staple. Yeah, the world can stagnate, but doesn't mean that you should.
That's very true. That's very true.
And I totally get what you're saying, Pokeniner. I don't know if that's what I'm getting from the writer. Like, I feel like what you're saying is what I want to see, and it's just not what I'm interpreting.
It doesn't feel like it's necessarily translated.
Right. But I do get where you're coming from, and that's what I'm keeping my mind on, is that's where we're at, because that's where I want this to go. It's just the use of words and how we interpret them is just
for sure
so far not where I'm linked up. But I am linked up on what you're saying, so I'm going to keep that in mind as we go through the powers, because that's what I want this to be, is this constant, you are the momentum forward in a world of stagnation. Like, that's the mindset of this character.
I like that term. You are the momentum forward in a world of stagnation.
Or you're you could even say it like in game, like what would you think of other quotes, like I am the ripple on a quiet pond or on a still pond.
Right.
Like that sounds like something this paladin would say. I am the ripple on the silent on the still pond. Like that's the mindset behind this, is regardless of what's happening around me, I will constantly push forward, regardless of what that means. And that's what I want to keep in mind for this. Okay, so now we get to our oath spells. These are oath spells that we gain for the paladin levels. So third, we get jump and Zephyr Strike. I'm not familiar with Zephyr Strike.
Ooh, let me look up Zephyr Strike.
We also get, at 5th level, we get Find Steed and Pass Without Trace. Always actually two great ones, especially for paladin. Find Steed's a great one.
Oh yeah.
Pass Without Trace, I think, is underutilized outside of like druids and rangers. So I think that's great to have here. Lehman's Tiny Hut is great. Water Walk. Ooh, Water Walk. That's interesting. Water Walk only works on self though, right?
No, Water Walk, I think you can actually use it on a group of up to 5 people.
Would it work on a steed? Because I think it should.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it says creatures.
Freedom of movement, locate creature. I'm not really familiar with freedom of movement. I think that's just allowing you to...
Yeah, spell grants... Up to 10 willing creatures. Yeah, up to 10 willing creatures. That totally counts your steed.
Ooh, Far Step and Commune with Nature are also good capstones.
Yes.
So I wish Commune with Nature could come sooner.
Zephyr Strike is move like the wind until the spell ends. Your movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Once before the spell ends, you can give yourself advantage on one weapon attack roll on your turn. That attack deals an extra d8 of force damage on a hit. Whenever your hit misses, whenever you hit or miss, your walking speed increases by 30 feet until the end of that turn.
So it's basically giving you a free dash with no opportunity attack.
Yes.
That's kind of dope.
That's stupid.
All right. And then freedom of movement, that's basically like you just don't take any kind of terrain, right?
Not only that, but I think you get like advantage on like escaping grapples and like anything that would like
stop your movement. You basically get over. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, no, actually,
And
a
freedom of
lot
movement's
of
a 4th
those.
level, so I think that's like you cannot be restrained, paralyzed,
Oh yeah,
or by even magical effects.
that's good. I like that. No, that's actually a really that might be one of the best like spell set lists we've ever seen.
And I
for a
feel like it
homebrew.
flows really, really well.
Can't be paralyzed. Water doesn't affect your attacks or and effects. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that actually feels legit, but it's like, so I get, it's like, this is where I think my problem is, right? This is where the terminology of words is. I get the idea behind what Pokeniner was describing as the mindset behind this build, right?
Mhm.
Like the I am the movement in a stagnation. But it's like, if you think of a lot of what these are, it's like it's taking the concept of movement and momentum literally, whereas the ideology of it is figuratively, right? I am the movement of progress, the ability to constantly push forward and better myself up the hill, right? I'm always moving up the hill. But these are very much like but move, and be physically moving and move more and move faster.
Maybe it's just a physical manifestation
but that's what I'm getting at. Like, this is where I think I'm having a hard time, is because we get one thing that's like, oh, let's go with this mindset here, but then this other mindset is just, it's like, oh, we're going back to literal. Like it's literally more like the monk mindset of like, because I could easily see a lot of these also being equal to like a good monk build that has this like mindset of momentum,
right?
And just never stopping, you know. So that's where like the hard idea. But then again, I don't know what would make sense for what we were talking about before, right? Like the personal improvement. How do you represent that in spells, right? How do you like? I could see like, you know, maybe teleport self or plane walk, or like plane walking. Those could be some really interesting ones for the expedition and the adventurous side,
right?
So maybe you could have like, you know, like something like that in here. But yeah, I think that's just why I keep getting confused. It's like my brain wants to go to this,
wants to go down one road, and
like
then it keeps
actual
getting
physical
like
momentum, and then the other one wants to be in this mindset. Oh, what was that?
Soul
Collective, thank you so much for the new subscription. Appreciate you showing up.
Oh, thank you so much.
So I think that's why. I think I'm just constantly going back and forth between the mindset and the physical representation. And I think it's just throwing me off, because not to say that there's a better way to do it. I'm not saying that I can immediately tell you why.
Oh, this is what I would do. Right.
It's just, it is this constant reminding myself, it's about improving yourself and improving the world and never stagnating. But you have to represent that physically, by just not stopping and doing the same thing.
Okay.
But you can also say that this also, you know, gives you a lot of freedom of choice. I was about to say freedom of movement, like freedom of choice in combat, right? These are a lot of things that you can do in conjunction with other attacks and other abilities. You know what I mean? I mean, simply the fact that Zephyr Strike gives you basically a free dash after an attack. Can you imagine dashing, attacking, and getting that? Or attacking someone, getting that free movement, but then dashing with that attack. So you're basically like tripling. So you're just all over the battlefield.
That's
right?
wild.
So yeah, there's a lot of unique aspects about this.
Okay.
Pokeniner gives us some more insight. So always thought of it as being that figure lacking stagnation, the lead by example scenario where you're showing them to always push on, even if it's rough, because there's always a way to learn around it. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see where you're building that up from. Yeah, because there's not even like
I will say this, the only spell that I feel like does not fit the theme, like it's a great spell and I love it, but the only one I would feel like doesn't help you move at all, in fact it keeps you in one place, is Liamon's Tiny Hut.
I agree with you on that one, but it kind of makes sense just for
it is like for what it is.
Adventuring, you have to have a good setup, right? And if you can have everybody refreshed during travel, you're more likely to progress.
That's very fair.
I was going to say locate creature was kind of a little off for me.
Yes, I see where you're coming from there as well. I was thinking about that, but again, like I was like, maybe it's always keeping you going somewhere. You're going after something. You're trying to find something. You're trying to seek something. So kind of, but That's fair. That's fair. And that's true. It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. So yeah, so like again, there's a lot of unique ways to take this. So it is a Paladin subclass about progress. So it is the Oath of Progress Paladin subclass. It's personal progress, worldly progress, basically keeping yourself away from stagnation is the mindset.
But I am getting again, especially with a lot of the spell sets, a lot of movement based
fluidity, fluid movement. Okay, so those were the oath spells. We have our tenets, our embrace change, walk not run, and then lead by example. It's about the journey, not the destination.
Yes,
it's about the learning it's about what you learn along the way. You know, maybe it's about the lessons we had along the way.
Exactly.
All right, so we get channel divinity at level 3. When you take this oath, you gain the following 2 channel divinity options. Unyielding spirit. You can use your channel divinity to push through adversaries you face. If you fail a saving throw to be slowed, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, or restrained, you can choose to spend your channel divinity to re-roll the saving throw. If you do so, you must use the new roll. Which I don't know if that would... I don't know what that does. Is there a crit fail issue with these saving throws? Like, the idea would be if you failed it and you re-rolled it, I'm just curious, when it says you have to use the new roll, would there be any issue not using the new roll? Like,
I mean,
why would you ever not?
Yeah, I think there is something about, like, there's definitely like worse things that can happen if you crit fail.
Okay,
but
so it must just be a crit fail.
I don't, especially with like some of the spells, like to be grappled or something like that. Like, there's really no, like, if you get a crit one, like,
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something on that.
Yeah.
One.
So honestly,
it's basically indomitable, but getting it.
Oh, interesting.
It's basically like representing indomitable.
Okay, so like indomitable, like the fighters get, because that's a fighter trait,
right?
So because this is a channel divinity, I would say that I wouldn't even be mad if this was almost like especially because it specifies one of those specific conditions. If this is almost like a legendary resistance and like you just get to succeed, you can just say, instead of having to like re-roll it again.
So if you fail, you just burn a channel divinity and you succeed instead.
And you can save yourself from that potential thing. It's just one time. You start out. I forget how many channel divinities you get total. Actually, that'll be something we go over in the class. But yeah,
because we didn't get like a chart or anything that shows like how often you get them.
Yeah. Where does it say that?
I actually don't mind that. I mean, because of this class and because of the concept behind it, because it's a paladin ability, like you said, if you don't get too many channel divinities, if it's not something that you can like super spam, I kind of agree with you. Just having it as an automatic, if you fail one of these saving throws specifically, burn a channel divinity and you save instead. Just have it like that instead, you know, just kind of like you said,
right?
A legendary reaction of you save instead. I prefer that over the reroll, because like you've said, this feels like it should be something, especially part of this class. It doesn't feel too powerful to get a jail free card, and you know,
it's way more likely you're going to feel like you get something out of it rather than
what you say about how many of these you get. It does suck to suck if you have to burn one of these and you still fail with the roll, right?
Yeah.
Like it sounds like it could potentially be better with with what we're talking about, and it would fit so much better with what we're talking about with the subclass, to have it just as I'm just gonna be able to push through this. And if these don't get replaced until a long rest, I'm even more okay with that.
So I'm reading through that right now. So it says channel divinity. Your oath allows you to channel divine energy to fuel magical effects. Each channel divinity option provided by your oath explains how you use it. When you use your channel divinity, you choose which option you use. You must finish a short or a long rest to use your channel divinity again. So it feels
so
like
one time. It's a one time per any rest.
Per short rest, yeah.
Honestly, I'm okay with that. If it is a one-time per rest period, then yeah, you know what? No roll required. I'm totally okay saying that you can burn that,
because
really
there's no
how
spamming. That works?
If that's okay, I'm totally
Wild.
yeah. So
I don't think ever played like a paladin like that well or that much before, but
I agree with Kage. Get rid of the reroll and just say that you can burn the channel divinity and you save instead. I think that's 100% okay.
Okay.
Because it's only once. There's no chance of spamming this. There's not even a chance of you getting it back in the middle of combat. It's not like you can't fake a short rest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
there is that. Is that even a spell? Like, isn't there like catnap or like? But that's like 10-minute short rest.
Well, yeah. There's ways to make it, but like, yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
it'd be a pain in the ass.
But I don't think that's not consider. I wouldn't consider that spamming. If you are gonna take the time to be able to, a 1 minute rest, you're not doing that in combat.
100%.
Like I said, yeah. I don't fucking care. That is not as bad because you're also talking about some of the least used abilities. And I don't mean like, they're never used, but these are some of the least used conditions. So having a character start out as being able to push through these automatically is not that like dangerous for me.
Yeah.
And you only get to do it once. That also is one of those you're going to wait till it's cinematic to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be
you're gonna wait till it matters.
Class matters.
Yes.
And it would even this is the first, like right out the gate, this tells me yes, that's exactly what Pokeniner is describing. Don't ever let anything get in your way. Don't let anything ever stop you. So imagine being able to like, he grapples you, you fail the roll. No, I don't. Push through because I'm not going to let my team see me fail. Right? You know what I mean? Like there's something about that mentality that brings this part of the class out a little bit better. So yeah, good call.
Okay,
good call. We also get Noble Charge. You can use your Channel Divinity to propel yourself through your foes. As an action, you move up to your movement speed, minimum of 20 feet, in a single direction. You do not provoke opportunity attacks. Am I reading that right? You buffet any creature in your path, pushing them aside. So I'm not familiar with that term.
Let me make sure that's translated correctly.
Pushing them aside to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of your choice. Okay, so basically just one square over from I'm assuming to the left of your right, which is kind of cool. I like that it's of your choice. Any creature affected by this movement must succeed a dexterity saving throw against your spell DC. Creature takes 1d6 force damage on a failed save.
So that means if they get forcibly moved, they got to make a save, and if they fail, they take force damage. I mean, 1d6 isn't a whole lot.
No, but that's kind of cool because it basically, you could save it and just get moved over, and basically he's just running past you. But if you're caught unaware, that's basically a shoulder check. Like, yeah, I could see a 1d6 damage.
Okay.
If there's no unoccupied space for the creature to be moved to, they automatically fail the saving throw and take an additional 1d6 force damage and are knocked prone. So it's basically like shoving them into a wall.
Gotcha.
Like running down a hallway, and you're like, if you're running down a hallway down a corridor and there's nowhere to go, you're basically smashing them up against the wall like a linebacker.
I kid you not, I'm getting Juggernaut vibes from this, man.
Yeah,
he's just like bulldozing through these suckers.
And again, that's why it's a very unique idea to have this mindset of progress, but also of I'm gonna keep moving, almost like I'm an adrenaline rush and I can't stop moving.
I'm not gonna let anything stop me.
It's a very weird juggle of a character. I was thinking more run over. Oh, okay, run overs. Yeah, I was just thinking like the hallway where you're just, everyone's like trying to stop you. You're just like grabbing them, shoving them into the wall, and they're just like dazed and they just fall down because they can't handle that.
Wild.
But I also like the idea of just running them over, get down, and then just trample them.
God bless.
All right. Take a d6 and unoccupied space. And then get knocked prone. You cannot end your movement in a space of another creature when using this feat if there's no unoccupied space for them to. You're gonna end the space in the space of another creature when using this feature if there's no unoccupied space for them to be moved to.
So if it's like the end of your movement, you can't end in their space if there's no place for you to move them. So before it said
you would just be moved one square.
You just wouldn't affect that last person, right?
Gotcha.
So if they're like at the end of a hallway and you're trying to like get to the door, like, and there's nothing on the other side of the door, like you would have to just wait and like deal with that person.
I like how it's a minimum of 20 feet. So I do like how this can't just be a shoulder check to like 2-3 enemies. I like how you have to dedicate a run to it.
Right.
Like how you actually have to be running for it.
And you need at least a little bit of space to make this happen.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I do like that. And it does go, it really does lean right into the other one too.
So
both of them are part of you running. It just depends on one tries to stop you, one tries to propel you forward. I think they both work well hand in hand.
How do you read this? And Pokeniner, tell me how you meant this, but how do you read this when it says, as an action, move up to your movement? Would you say that
It's
consumes?
It's an addition to your movement.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if you've moved. As an action, you are using your action to basically sprint and do an actual like because isn't there,
so it's almost like
there,
a dash action.
Well, it is
Lightweight.
basically a dash action, but isn't there wasn't there an attack that actually did? It's a bash, right? It's basically like the bash action with a dash.
I think there's a feat you can take to do like Shield Master to be able to do like a shield bash.
And I think that's all it really is. So I look at that as it has nothing to do with your movement. As an action, you are allowed to move an additional movement speed up to your movement speed because it's an attack. It's an attack that requires movement, but I would not rule it as it takes your movement speed.
So Pokeniner says you spend your movement every turn. What does that mean?
So he says it does burn your movement. So you need to have you have to have 20 movement remaining.
So because you're spending your channel divinity, I would give you that movement for free.
Well, and I look at it as, again, you think about it, it's all about action economy, right? In the 6 seconds, it's how much you can do. And yes, technically in a full 6 second period, they say you can only run so much, but that's also surmising that you're doing other things. In this particular thing, a sprint can be a compacted run on top of what you could normally do.
But think about standard D&D, you can use your action to dash.
Yeah, which is on top of
which is
and that's what rogues do. They can use their bonus action to dash on top of their movement.
Exactly.
So yeah, not only is this using an action, but it's a channel divinity. I don't see why it would require you to do that. Oh, what is going on? And
a raiding party.
Thank you so much for the raid. What is going on?
Wow, welcome, friends.
Lizzie,
welcome.
Thank you, American Gangster. Thank you so much. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome. We are doing a homebrew review of a Paladin subclass. Welcome. I hope you enjoy.
Come hang out with us.
Let us know.
Y'all.
We're actually pretty early on into it. So yeah.
Hopefully you guys
thank
can
you guys
let us know what you think.
Trax, how's it going? Lizzie, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Marty, what's going on? How you doing? Again, thank you for the raid. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys are enjoying your all's night. Hope you guys had a good stream previously.
Raid party. I love it, y'all.
But yeah, so Pokeniner, Pokeniner is saying that it burns your movement. I don't think it should. Just like you said, you can do a dash, and that's on top of your normal movement. So that's doubling your movement. Rogues get the opportunity to dash as a bonus action. So that's essentially adding their movement. So this being not only an action, but like you said, a channel divinity, I'm 100% okay being an additional movement on top of your standard as part of this attack. And I wouldn't even, mind it. Well, I guess I wouldn't want to change the minimum 20 feet. I really think the minimum 20 feet is.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And to be honest, there's a lot of like creature features and stuff like that where they have like pounce and things like that also require a minimum 20 feet in a certain direction or things of that nature. So I feel like that's very on brand.
I appreciate you, Pokeniner. Pokeniner says that they'd like to keep away from the world breaking effect. But honestly, I don't think these are world breaking. To be like I said, with Unyielding Spirit, the fact that you're asking for a reroll, but you're asking for them to burn their channel divinity on something that they could still fail feels bad. And it's not like a game changing save. Not being grappled, not being paralyzed that one time.
Especially because grapple, they can just try and grapple you again if they really want to.
Yeah, all of these. I mean, realistically,
explode is usually a spell.
Yeah, paralyzed, petrification, but all of these too, a lot of them, especially later in the game, are AoE effects. So you being the only person that can guarantee a save out is clutch for the whole party, right?
For sure.
So I don't think that's too game breaking. And then with Noble Charge, you're basically giving them a channel divinity attack. Like if you don't burn their movement and they can just do it on top of their normal movement, you're, like you said, you're making them a very versatile, very momentous character, giving them that extra movement. I don't think it's game breaking. I think it makes the more sense that they would just burn their action and a divinity to create this new attack, right? And because you're burning two things in the action economy, I wouldn't call that game breaking personally. And you guys know me. I'm usually the one that like thinks a lot of people are way more lenient. I think for me, saying that you're being too strict on yourself is a big deal, honestly, because I wouldn't call that game breaking at all. What's going on, Marty? That's a pretty good channel divinity since you have to burn it basically to have a chance to save again. And so I'm thinking like, I don't know, the idea of being able to fail with a channel divinity, like having to re-roll the save. Marty, what we were saying is like, I'm suggesting get rid of the re-roll. Just say that if you fail a saving throw against these specific conditions, you can burn a channel divinity and just auto save
and just save instead.
You save instead. I think that's not game breaking for a channel divinity, and equally, I don't think just letting noble charge be its own attack without burning your movement. I don't think those are game breaking.
Pokeniner does say that when it comes to at the very least the movement, big part of this class is they're going to be getting a lot more movement speed later.
Okay,
in the class, so it might have an effect on how beneficial that is later.
Gotcha.
Later on, but we can check that out as we move along.
As is, I'm not saying that it feels weak. I'm not saying that it doesn't feel like it works. I just, as a DM, or as even as a player, like I don't see any problem letting this be more powerful than it is.
Mm-hmm.
But once we get to the end of it, we'll be able to
kind of see it in the whole picture for sure.
Because by the end of it, once we get to like level 14 in a capstone, we may realize that you need this to be burning your movement speed, right? Otherwise, you'd be, unstoppable. But who knows? Marty says doesn't sound very busted just to save on the effect either, and that's what I'm thinking, right? If this were like a full on, you can save against any condition. I would say
any saving throw. Yeah, but I would agree.
These are specifically just movement conditions. I said this right before you guys rated in. Some of these conditions are like the least used in a lot of games, right? Like not never used, just some of the least used. And like you said, some of these can be rolled right back if they save.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a you were done. Oh no, more ads. Oh no.
Disrespectful.
Okay, so that's what you get for your channel divinities. I like them. I am 100% I'm 100% okay with these. I would not mind them being more powerful, but I'm not going to knock them for being too weak. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Like I won't knock them for being too weak.
That's fair.
But I think they could
be stronger.
More, could be more.
Okay.
So moving on. So between level 3 and level 7.
So real quick, a piece that we get at 3rd level that I believe I forgot to mention is something called Divine Health. It says the divine magic flowing through you makes you immune to disease. Full stop. So in this particular case, you're immune to disease. And 4th level, you get an ASI, ability score improvement, or a feat. Potentially.
Okay, let's pause real quick.
Sure.
Because we haven't done this before. Usually you just kind of roll through these. But with this specific subclass, would you go with the ASI or feat? I'm thinking feat because of how much mobility we're going to be getting and how much this is all about movement. I'm really wondering if we should go feat, and I'm trying to think what really like makes this stand out, because I don't think an ASI would really benefit this particular class. I think what we want is versatility and we want options.
So unless you're really trying to lean into your spell casting, and like up your charisma to 20, I don't necessarily think you need because not a lot of stuff is requiring saving throws from people, right? Like there's a little bit of stuff in your charge, but
okay, hang on a second. We got to figure out. Can you bring up what mobile does? What the feat mobile does?
The mobile feat.
Because
I was going to go through some of the feats.
I was going to say, because Pokeniner was saying that feels like a little bit overkill, but I'm just really curious now what that would do.
All right.
Because that's what I like to think of is like when I'm thinking about building this character, like you said, I don't think an ASI is really going to do it justice. I think what we need is, with the idea of being progressive, we need to just have options. We need to be able to do not everything, but a really good set list of things.
So I'm going to make an assumption. I don't know what the rest of this class fully looks like, but I'm going to say the mobile feat might be lightweight redundant for a lot of what's going to happen. But the mobile feat is your top speed increases by 10 feet. So you just get 40 feet from remember, your base 30.
That would change a lot because noble charge is up to. So that does give you more. And remember, it's anybody in your wake.
Up to?
Remember, noble charge is up to your movement.
Oh, yeah.
20, but it hits anybody in your wake. So an extra 10 feet's up to 2 extra targets.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
okay.
When you use the dash action, difficult terrain does not cost you extra movement. So you just are automatically not affected by difficult terrain, specifically when you use the dash action.
But that's cool. That
is very cool.
Really,
That
cool.
is very cool. And then when you make a melee attack against a creature, you don't provoke opportunity attacks from that creature for the rest of the turn, whether you hit or not.
That's actually would be so dope with this. Like that would actually be like Pokeniner says, that would be borderline overkill, because this is already giving you a lot, those abilities to
Now, wasn't I swear we heard? Oh no, that was one of the spells that says you don't provoke. That was Zephyr Strike.
Well, yeah, but Zephyr Strike. But remember, adding that in, like Zephyr Strike gives you the ability to walk around with any enemy, but being able to like have that where just once you hit that enemy.
Yep. That would be kind of wild. Yeah. That would be kind of wild.
Yeah.
Another one that I think would be good is the Charger feat. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line immediately before taking this bonus action, you gain a +5 bonus to the attack's damage roll. If you choose to make a melee attack on a hit, you can push the target 10 feet away.
So use that with Unwielding Spirit. Or no. You use that with Noble Charge. So you activate that, then activate Noble Charge, because that gives a minimum 20 feet. So you will go 10 feet, and then you'll get the extra damage, but you'll be able to push them even further.
So it says when you take the dash action, I feel like this should proc with that. So specifically, the Charger says you have to take the dash action, and then you can use your bonus action to make an attack.
Yeah.
But I feel like Noble Charge is basically like taking the dash action. So
yeah, that would have to be up to Pokeniner on whether or not it constitutes a dash, or if it's written to be its own movement action, because again, it does use your movement. It's not a free movement.
Yep.
So yeah, but
it'd be very interesting. It'd be very interesting.
There's definitely that one. Even that one though, being able to and what does it say? So you use the dash action, and when you do the dash action, you can make a bonus attack.
You can make an attack with your bonus action. And that attack gets a +5 bonus to it.
So
to the damage.
Take that, and then later down the road in a couple levels, then you take the mobile. So you dash through difficult terrain, and at the end of it, end with a bonus attack, and then use your action to do this attack. So you dash, attack, and then Noble Charge. Because dash doesn't use your movement, it isn't.
It would be wild. That would be wild.
No. So okay, I think yeah, both of those add to this a lot. So I think feats are going to be the way to go. Okay, so moving on, we get the ASI or a feat. I think we've decided the feats are the best to go. Anything else until 7th?
You get extra attack at 5th level. So that's already beautiful. And you get Aura of Protection at 6th level. So Aura of Protection is whenever you or a friendly creature within 10 feet of you make a saving throw, that creature gains a bonus to the saving throw equal to your Charisma modifier, a minimum of 1. So
that actually flows right well into this. Like, that's good. I like that.
And so you must be conscious to get this bonus, and your aura increases to 30 feet at level 18. So it starts off at 10 feet aura, and then it goes up to 30 feet at 18.
Interesting. And that extra attack makes Noble Charge even more devastating, because you could Noble Charge through a bunch of enemies, and the one that you're faced off with at the very end, just take him down with one more attack, because especially if it wasn't able to go anywhere, right? Like if he had a wall behind him. So, man, yeah, you could stack this a lot. Paladins often don't need the autosaves. Okay, I guess that makes sense, because they get a lot of boost to their saves anyway. So I guess that would make sense that they don't need the autosave, technically.
That's fair enough.
And that their charisma of theirs essentially stacks onto all of their saves. Oh,
yeah. Specifically with Aura of Protection, like you just get a flat bonus to any save, and this is static, and this is like always up. It's just as long as you're conscious, you get your charisma bonus to all of your saves.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And anybody within 10 feet of you.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense why Yielding Spirit's just a reroll, because it's still kind of basically like reroll on steroids, but
right.
So I guess that does make sense why you would want to keep it down there. Okay, cool. And then we get to level 7.
Level 7, that's it. That was your level 6 ability, and level 7 is your new subclass ability.
All right, which is going to be Aura of Motion. All right, definitely keeping in with the same naming thing, which is great. So you now constantly emit an aura that pushes you and your allies to reach their goals, causing disorder within your enemy's pursuit. This aura extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. Okay, so I interpret that as basically like they have to have sight on you, like line of sight, basically.
So I would say the reason why it says not total cover is like if there's like a wall, but it ends right here and you're on the other side of the wall, that's not, would that be considered total
that's
cover?
Something like it sounds more kind of like the idea of like line of sight, as long as like we would be able to see. So it can't go through a wall. So yeah, basically if we were
okay.
So if there's anything literally like full on blocking us, it won't affect you. Okay. Let's see. So your walking speed. Okay, so you now constantly emit an aura 10 feet of you in every direction. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. So wow, yeah. So imagine that. So imagine if you had taken mobile, got 10 feet there, and then got this 10 feet.
You'd be at 50 right now.
Woo! Oh,
that's some monk speed right there.
And then 50 feet with the noble charge, which is just plowing.
That's the monk speed right there. Gosh. That's wild.
Your walking speed increased by 10. In addition, if you are incapacitated, you and all friendly creatures that start their turn within the aura impose disadvantage on all opportunity attacks targeting them. So hold on, let me reread that. So if you are all of your creatures that start their turn in your aura impose disadvantage on all opportunity attacks. 18th level, this increases to 30%, 30 feet. So I'm assuming that if they start their turn, it just is until the end of that turn. So they can leave your aura.
So
and still get
I would say the way I understand this working is anytime one of your allies moves while they're within your aura and that movement provokes an opportunity attack, that opportunity attack has disadvantage.
Because it specifically states that when they start their turn within the aura.
Right. And so in order for them to move.
So basically, so as long as they've started their, yeah. So
can
you so they have to, we know that they have to start their turn within your aura, but do they have to remain in it for it to work, or can they leave and still have it work?
Like, that's interesting, because I'm thinking like, what if you're outside the aura, you go in, attack somebody, and then leave? Would that opportunity attack wouldn't work? But if you started in the aura or go out, attack somebody, and then come back, that's wild.
Or whether or not you even came back. If you start in it, leave, attack, and then keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Does it still work? These are the different situations, right? Is like, do you have to remain in it at all times, or does it stick with you until the end of your turn?
Interesting.
So Pokeniner says it lasts the whole turn. You're pushing them to succeed beyond you. So think of it more as an AoE or an aura-based bardic inspiration. If you're in my aura and you start your turn in my aura, you can leave with my courage, and you will be able to move past the enemies one time. Now you say it lasts the whole turn. Is it only good one time for the rest of the turn, or is it all opportunity attacks until the end of the turn?
It does say on all opportunity attacks.
Okay, no, it does say. Okay, so that's pretty legit. If you start your turn near that paladin, you basically get to also have his level of movement.
So if you're like hurt, and say you're down, and the paladin like uses his lay on hands and brings you up to 1, you can run
use the dash
through
action.
The enemies and dip out.
So clutch.
No
other healer ever.
Out.
No other healer gets that opportunity to get you out. Every healer risks it all to get you up, and in hopes that they can heal you
because
again.
It's basically a free disengage.
That's exactly what it is.
It's a free disengage.
That's exactly what it is. In that context, that's
wild.
I like
Interesting.
That. So either it's for the fighters that they can just push from one enemy to the next, going, one enemy attack, or yeah, it's get them up and get them out. I like that. That is so good. Just realized there's a miswording. It should end at their at the end of their turn. Which one are we talking about? Oh, it just doesn't say it ends. It just says that you and all friendlies, that start their turn within the aura. Okay, so they just, it just doesn't say that when it ends. But so here's the other thing too. There's no ending trigger. So I also have a curious because you say you and all friendly creatures that start their turn within the aura.
So that means it's always on you.
Yeah, so you just never have opportunity attacks. Or you're saying that you are basically now immune to opportunity attacks.
As long as you're conscious, lightweight. It's not immune. They just have disadvantage.
Okay.
They just have disadvantage.
Yeah. Okay.
They just have disadvantage.
Still, that's.
I mean, that's clutch. I mean, but it's only opportunity attacks. Like people that are coming up to you intentionally attacking you.
No, I get that. Yeah, but yeah. Okay, so that's permanent disadvantage on all opportunity attacks. That's
at level 7. At level 7, that is a lot.
It's not OP, but man, that would make me
strong.
Sweat. That would make me sweat as a DM.
It's strong.
Yeah,
that's wild.
So that's why mobile is a bit overkill. Exactly. Yes. But at the same time, that's exactly why mobile is exactly what you choose when you do this. Like, there's no doubt at this point. Mobile and what was the other one? Charger. Those two are just like, there's no reason why you would not.
They're freaking money, those, dude. They're freaking money. That's wild. That's so wild.
You know what this makes me want now? I don't know why. Call it ADHD brain. But this suddenly makes me want a spell. And I know it would be more of a modern concept, but modernly we would call like the spell called lag, but I think it would be more funny to be called a spell called like repeat, like the spell of repeat action or the scroll of repeat action or the scroll of redoing. But the idea behind, like, can you imagine a spell, like a super powerful spell that sets one creature or one character, but only them, like, back one turn? Like the idea of being able, like, they do something, you can reset them and then they do it again, but everything doesn't undo. So like, think about Noble Charge. You do Noble Charge against like 4 enemies and then someone casts that spell on you and you have to do it again, but the enemies don't lose the damage they took the first time.
Oh, that's wild.
Imagine a spell
that could just like
a time, like it's basically a temporal spell that only affects one individual, but they get to basically repeat the action that they did.
That would be really interesting. See, I would love more time spells that do cool stuff like that. I think that could be you can just like repeat a turn. Like it's not like you're going back in time, so like you have to re-affect,
but you can't do anything different. It's literally like a lag. It's just you do it and everybody sees you go back and do it again, but they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It just that, like, can you, oh man, imagine casting that like as a reaction. Like imagine being the thing and be like, hey, I'm gonna not, like, you're at the BBEG and you're like, I'm the wizard. I'm not gonna do anything this round. I'm gonna hold my action, but if anybody crits the BBEG,
I'm gonna double that. I'm gonna double that.
So that's like all you do. Like when that's your last spell, you're like, guys, I'm not doing anything. God, but by the way, if you crit, you're gonna double it.
I'm holding my reaction. You just wink at the DM. You're like, what do you? Oh, you know exactly what I'm holding it for.
I don't know why I thought of that, but that it sounds like a cool concept to have like a temporal spell.
I really like that idea.
I think of it as lagging, right? But like the idea that only you're affected temporally, so you basically get this like double action or this double turn, basically, because you basically get 2 initiatives, like a back-to-back. But it would be an interesting question of, do you have to do the exact same thing, or do you recognize you've gone back in time, right? There's that juggle aspect. I like the idea of it's just the same thing.
I do too.
If an enemy's already dead, like if you attack multiple enemies and one's already dead, you just miss.
I feel like that would make it a lot more, I don't know. I feel like that would make it a lot more like a spell, like with a standard effect, like and it would have very repeatable.
Extra. Like there would be no extra rolls or dice rolls.
Yes,
it's just everything.
It was whatever it was.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Marty says that's bringing me back to an old class I built for 5e. What? Submit it in the Discord,
please. Dude. You gotta hook that up. Yeah. You gotta hook that up.
By the way, Raiders, if you guys are interested, we do have a community Discord. If you want to join us and submit your own stuff. Or just chat with us offline. That link is in the Discord. But we are live every Monday and Friday, if you guys are interested. So Aura of Motion, I like it. The idea of inflicting this, this concept is of disadvantage for opportunity attacks.
No, that's way clean.
It's crazy, but it works. It's crazy, but it works. Okay.
I know.
Wizards of the Coast, why do you do this to us? In 8 levels. What am I supposed to do with 8 levels of fucking nothing?
No, we haven't looked at
Okay, what do we get between
Paladin
7
yet?
and 15th? God, like the fact, you know what pisses me off too is not only is this 8 levels of stagnation, but I mean, no offense to Pokeniner's, concept, but what also sucks is that how many other classes capstone at level 14? So you're watching,
that's wild.
You
Yeah.
are watching
Everybody
your
else
party
get their,
members
like, ballers.
capstone, and you're just sitting there like, maybe in another 4 gaming sessions, everybody will make level 15, and then I'll get
I know.
it hurts so bad because this is not how you level. This is
It's
not
wild.
how
It's
you do
wild.
things. You don't make and again. How many gaming sessions is 8 levels? Anyway,
It's a year.
Anyway,
I'm just kidding.
what do we get?
What
do we get?
So, at 8th level, you get another ability score improvement. So this is where you can take your second feat or increase some abilities if you would like. At 10th level, so nothing at 9th, but at 10th level, you get Aura of Courage. Friendly creatures within 10 feet of you can't be frightened while you are conscious. So you and everybody within 10 feet of you are immune to the frightened condition.
And then on top of that, once you're while they're in it, or as long as is it one of
While
those-
they're in it.
Okay, while they're in it, and
Yes.
and at what level does it? Okay, at
18th,
it goes
it'll
to
increase
30.
all of your auras will go up to 30 at 18th level.
Okay. That's not terrible. That's not terrible because you won't be frightened while you guys are grouped up, and then as soon as you leave, you'll have the opportunity to attack boons. That'd be great.
Okay, that's 10th level. 11th level, you get improved Divine Smite. Let's see. You are fueled melee, can carry your Divine Smite power. Whenever you hit a creature with a melee weapon, the creature takes an extra 1d8 radiant damage. So this is without you actually smiting. Whenever you just hit a target, period, they take an extra 1d8 radiant damage. No matter what weapon you're using, you can use apparently a crossbow, you could use an axe, you could use a sword. They just take an extra 1d8 radiant damage.
Gotcha.
And then you could smite them if you wanted to. At 12th level, another ability score improvement or feat if you like. And then you get at 14th level something called Cleansing Touch. So as an action, you can use your action to end one spell on yourself or on one willing creature that you can touch. So if somebody's being affected by a spell, you can end that spell. Like say someone's concentrating on hold person or dominate person or something like that. You can just say, no, that spell is no longer affecting this person. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. Okay, so potentially up to 5 times you can just be like, no, you don't get to do that to my homie.
Okay.
And then you get your Sacred Oath feature at level 15.
All right. Does it specifically say willing?
Yes, one willing creature.
One willing creature.
One willing creature. Cleansing Touch.
All right. Okay. And then we get level 15. This is called the what? This is the what now? The subclass what? You said level 15. You get just another subclass.
This is your
feature?
oath feature. Yeah, this is
oath
just your
feature. Okay.
yeah. This is just your next oath feature.
All right. So at level 15, we get noble after image.
After image.
After image. Oh, I read mage and after, and I'm like, what am I
After
reading?
I mage? Wait, what is
That's
that?
exactly how I read it. I'm like, what am I like? I thought I was trying to like pronounce it right. After image. Gotcha.
Yes.
Well, because I can't tell that would be a capital I. So it's just. All right. Noble after image, level 15. Your movement now makes you difficult. It makes you a difficult target on the battlefield. You gain resistance to all damage from opportunity attacks. So you
that
gain
means-
resistance to all damage from opportunity attacks. Interesting.
So that means they have disadvantage to hit you with an opportunity attack.
And even
But
if
if
they
they do
do-
hit you, you take half damage on whatever it is.
okay.
So
yeah,
opportunity attacks just suck for like they just might as well not even bother.
Yeah, it's basically a non-issue for you. Okay, so you're more likely to just queue off opportunity attacks. Hell yeah. And then in addition, whenever you end your turn at least 20 feet away from where you began your turn, you have advantage on your next saving throw until the start of your next turn. I'm not mad at it. I'm just confused by it.
Interesting. I mean, I'll put it this way. I like what it's saying. I don't think I've seen any ability do something where just like you have advantage on a saving, your next saving. I don't think I've seen any ability do something. I like that ability, but I agree. I am not 100% sure why
I'll tell you what I would prefer.
Placed like this.
I'll tell you what I prefer. In addition, whenever you end your turn at least 20 feet away from where you began your turn, your aura remains until the start of your next turn. So you know how your allies get a benefit for starting their turn in your aura? So what if you move away from them? Imagine until the start of your next turn, your aura remained where you started.
You know what? That would be perfect with the after image. It's like your aura is in two places that would be.
So if I'm around two of my buddies and I give and you know, right now they start their, you know, the next time they start their turn next to me, they're going to get the disadvantage on opportunity.
Especially because it's at least 20 feet. You're the aura's 10 feet from you, so it's gonna at the very least connect.
And then 30 feet, it's going to have overlap, right?
Well, so, in fact, there'll be a little bit of gap in between.
Well, but if you only have to move 20, you'll have a 30 foot, or you'll have, you know, there'll be aura overlap depending on if it stays at this. But my idea is like, yeah, you do that after image because that way you leave an aura, you know, a sphere behind for any ally that was already there. So wherever you go, those allies now get the next benefit.
The question would be, do they get all of your auras?
Whichever ones that that affect other players. So
all of the auras affect other players.
Yeah. So I would say, you leave.
So you get the aura of courage. You get the aura of
no frightened. You get the disadvantage on opportunity attacks as long as you move out of that bubble within your turn. I think that makes more sense.
Hey, I'm here for it. Right? I'm here for it. I love that idea. I hope
hydrate.
Oh, please. Hydration.
And it's the last of my water. So yeah, that would just be my initial knee-jerk reaction is just like I like I said, I don't dislike the saving throw concept. I just don't get it. But being able to leave I know 30 foot, once you get to a 30-foot aura, it's kind of not necessary. But just that idea, because, you know, thinking of it as a 10-foot and you walk away.
I mean, even a 30-foot aura, like that would be sick to double.
Well, and you're already moving 50 feet, so you could literally walk out of that aura and leave everyone behind and still get the bonuses. And again, after image,
and it's like, just until what is it? The start of your next turn?
That's what I think. Yeah, until you start your next turn immediately, and then
that would be cool.
With all of your abilities, you're constantly moving around the battlefield, but you're leaving these little pockets behind.
That would be so cool. Although that would be so cool.
Or if you wanted to go, I know you said something Pokeniner, and I'll read it in just a second. Or if you wanted to go one step back, if you think that's too much, what you do is you still get the resistance to all damage from opportunity attacks, but after image, it's only when you use the noble charge does your aura get left behind. So then that way you can noble charge away up to 50 feet, right? Because at this point you've been adding all of your movement. So you can noble charge so far away from your team that they would be out of your auras.
I like that encourages you to use your noble charge.
So what do you think about that, Pokeniner?
I would say you'd only be able to use that once, which kind of sucks.
Oh, because you'd run out of noble charge.
Because you can only, it's your channel divinity. So like, because I like that, because that gives you a huge.
Your after image could last for a minute. Even if you can only use it once, it might as well last for the rest of the battle. So what if you did that? It activates whenever you use noble charge.
And so there's just like an after image of you like on the battlefield or holding your aura for a minute.
And then anywhere in that thing for the next minute, any of your allies can just run over there, start their turn, get those bonuses and move. So, okay, we'll get to what Pokeniner said, because
I can get behind that.
Those are things that I'm thinking sound better than just being able to get a save on an app. Because it's either that, or I'm going to throw one more out there before we get into what chat's saying. Because it's called after image, whenever you move 20 feet away, you leave a physical embodiment of yourself. And enemies who want to attack you have to make a 50-50 choice on which one's you.
Interesting.
Like there's literally an after image of you. I don't know how else you'd want to do another after image. Because again, I like the idea of the saving throw. Like you said, it's unique. I just don't see how it fits.
Okay.
Let's get into chat. Disengaging, moving to my friends. So Pokeniner, only issue I see of spacing issue. DMs, players, and NPCs will always be arguing who is in the aura and when. But no, I don't think so, because that's no different than saying casting Spike Growth. There should always be a marker or some way that you've denoted where Spike Growth is.
Sure.
So there's no argument about who started, entered, moved.
And you're only leaving it to where you started your turn
when it activates, right? So
that's interesting.
So, and again, because after image, well, and I think what he was saying is because this triggers anytime you move. So if you were just every time you moved, you're leaving an after image, that'd be a lot. But if you change it to only activating when you do the noble charge, and then for 1 minute you leave your aura behind, then it would be kind of like leaving Spike Growth on the field for 1 minute.
Yeah, and then you just be like, boom, that's where it's at.
And how often do you get a positive, like a beneficial AoE like that you can basically cast on the battlefield for your allies to always benefit
right
from? So maybe that's where we were disconnecting in Pokeniner when you wrote that, is every time you move 20 feet, you leave behind an aura. That'd be a lot.
Yeah.
But if you can nail
that
it
is
down,
what we were originally talking about, or at least that's what I was originally thinking about.
But that's a little bit much, I think.
For sure.
I think again, because you're already getting movement now makes you a difficult target and getting resistance to opportunity attacks. That's already a cool feat. So then also adding in, because we always talk about this, right? Calling back to previous feats, making feats more powerful.
Yes.
Being able to say, hey, you know that charge that you do? That's kind of cool.
Exactly.
But now if you do it, you don't have to, because you're going 50 feet now. So now if you do that charge, you don't have to worry about leaving your buddies behind.
Yes.
You will charge, and you know what you're going to do as part of the Paladin subclass? You're going to encourage them to follow behind because they have all your boosts. They have all your bonuses. So they're now encouraged to run with you, run into the battle, because they don't need to be next to you. They just need to be encouraged by you. So
just need to be around.
It would actually make this entire class kind of come full circle back from our original ability all the way out to what's nearly our capstone. And I'm very excited because he added a fucking level 20 capstone. I'm very excited.
I don't
about
know.
that.
Is that standard for?
I don't know.
It might be. I mean,
if it is standard, then good on Wizards of the Coast for doing it.
It is.
Finally, we get to do that. We also have a posture check in chat, so make sure that we get the posture check. All right. So I think that's what Pokeniner was saying, but I really like the idea of the after image. I just think we could really focus more in on it, and I think the auras are the way to go.
I do.
Marty says, I like this is at least better than 90% of the 15th level abilities for Paladin.
It really is. It really is. Like, I mean, again, I've never actually gotten to 15th level as a Paladin. I've barely played Paladins.
Yeah.
I played with Paladins, but I'm telling you, it is already feeling way more useful. And again, this class is one of my huge definitions of synergy. Like, everything that's happening here goes so well together, and it plays off of each other, and it makes you feel like you are moving towards a certain thing. So I'm super here for that.
Oh, gotcha. So this is all Paladins have become an avatar of their oath at level 20.
Interesting.
So most of the abilities tend to go insane. So let's see that. And that's one of the biggest complaints, is because there's just very rarely ever capstones, right? All the capstones at level 14, 15. Like, what's the whole point of getting to level 20 then? What's the whole point of getting to the end of the campaign when you don't get anything for it? I'm assuming we get at least one more ASI or feat before level 20.
You get 2 more ASIs, one at 16th level, one at 19th level, and you get aura improvements at 18th level.
Oh, again, that's where they go up to 30 feet.
Yep.
Okay, so 20th level, we get Trailblazer's Might. You can now call upon the full might of your oath to become unstoppable force of nature, leading your allies to victory. As an action, you gain the following benefits for 1 minute.
Okay.
Your movement speed is doubled. So basically, you're just casting haste on yourself. That's all I'm hearing right now. It's just
wild.
You have immunity to all damage from opportunity attacks. I like it.
Okay.
Basically, you can't be.
I had resistance before, but sorry, sucks. Like, attack me.
Capstone.
Waste your reaction on me. Please do.
That's a fucking capstone.
Yes.
Your movements. Okay, and let's just talk about this. If we go with our version of after image, where no, because that's only if you use the charge.
Yeah.
Well, no, even if you use the charge, our after image even works even better, because you're now double the speed. If you took the other feats and you can go now 100 feet, you could leave them behind, but they'll still have your protections, right?
At least till the start of your next turn. Heck yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Marty was talking about the Conquest Paladin specifically. You get hit by a creature, you just deal damage equal to your charisma. That's basically the power of most Paladins. Okay, so you basically just get to, like, revert the power onto them.
And that's only your charisma? That's it? That's wild.
So also with Trailblazer's Might, you also get for 1 minute, your movement is unaffected by difficult terrain, which makes sense.
Awesome.
And you can choose to move through creatures and solid objects as if they were difficult terrain, but you can't end your movement there. If you do so, you're ejected to the nearest unoccupied space and take 1d10 force damage. So almost like Gaseous Form.
Almost.
It's very similar to, like, you're almost like being the Flash at this point. You're moving so fast.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. You're
really
like,
there for
you're just like...
Now, again, this is a cool concept, but this is in my opinion, in direct conflict with the idea of progress. This isn't really progress as it is you're basically the Flash. Like you're more of the oath of motion. This is more of the oath of motion than it is the oath of progress. Personally, I think that's,
in
now that we've seen
practice, yes,
it feels like, much more about this is the oath of fluid movement. Like it's all about physical motion. I haven't really gotten much of this is about making the world better as it is about,
I would say,
the limits of what motion
there
is.
are some other subclasses that I've seen that actually have some what do you call it, like role play features in them that actually demonstrate, you know, the more out of combat version of what their oath represents. I will say this focuses heavily on, you know, the practical visual representation, you know, the literal representation of that, rather than the actual concept that you're referring to in your actual tenets. But I get it. I do get it.
Pokeniner agrees that most paladins always try to get defensive features at this level around 15, so they get more of a tanky vibe, which makes sense. Marty says that the meme name for this one is Paladin, or the Oath of the Zoomies.
Yes, I freaking love that.
All right, so interesting. I kind of dig it. Like I'm getting the vibe for this. You also get, you and your allies can take the dash action as a bonus action while within 30 feet of you. So that's more of your
like that.
Yeah. I like that, and it makes me want to do the after image even more. It makes me really want you to be able to put an after image on the field and just let them go to town with that. Because at this point, at 30 feet is basically the whole like most of the combat field for an average combat, right? So it's like, you know, you do that, and then you move just outside of it, and then you just have these two spheres overlapping where 90% of the enemies are, and everyone's just getting these boons for a minute. Man, that would be great. Wow. Soul says, if I'm able to use this subclass or oath, I can't play anything else besides a tabaxi. Just gonna imagine it just running on all fours.
Yo, because tabaxi has an ability, and it doesn't take action economy to do this. You can just double your speed for that turn.
Oh my
god!
God.
You can't use that ability again until you spend.
So they literally have an ability for the zoomies.
Yes, 100%, 100%. It's wild.
And I like how you don't have any preamble. Just like the zoomies, it's just
like I'm hyper now.
That's fucking hilarious. All right. Okay, and then so I do like I really like that Pokeniner's leaning into the auras as well. So like giving them the dash action as a bonus action part of the aura. I'm liking this.
Right.
So during this time, you are surrounded by a radiant aura that leaves a magical bright light on your trail's wake. This light cannot be dispelled by any mundane or magical darkness and lasts while you're under the effects of this feature. Okay.
So it says it can't be dispelled by magical darkness, but can it dispel magical darkness? Like if I run through an area of darkness, of magical darkness, will this trail pierce it?
Because dispelling versus being able to be seen through it are kind of two different things. Your light would still be there when the spell dissipated is what I hear, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to see the light through it. That's not the same thing, right? Your light's there, it's just there's a difference between it being there and being unobservable.
Would you say if somebody tried to cast darkness on top of you or like where you are at, that it would still cover you, but your light would still be there?
I don't know, and that's where it like when you say that okay, so as written, it just says dispel, which means it doesn't go away, but darkness is still darkness. But as intended, it sounds like your trail is always going to be seen. So I think rules as intended, Pokeniner let me know if I'm right on this one or wrong, but I think it was intended as you're going to see this light no matter what, but as it reads, it sounds like it doesn't go away, but it's still magical darkness. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So it's just that small little amount of how do you interpret rules. Okay, so I was correct. So Pokeniner, the intent of this is that no matter what, you're going to see the light. So even if someone casts darkness on you, they'll still see your trail.
Got you. Okay. And so then I would ask you as a follow-up, Pokeniner, would you say that somebody who walks through an area of darkness would...
I think it pierces it.
It would pierce it?
I think you would watch them run through it, and then you would see a line, so you'd be able to make your way through it. Like, you'd be able to follow it.
Interesting.
So you wouldn't be able to see them. You wouldn't be able to see anything else, but you'd be able to follow their path.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I'm curious if like one of these paladins, like one of their buddies is getting beat up in an area of darkness, if they could run through there and like potentially find their buddy and grab them and pull them out.
I think that's the idea, because it's an aura, so you'd be able to see. I don't know if the paladin would be able to see further in front of them, but the downside of that is the enemies would be able to follow you.
Cool.
Because they see your light trail.
Because it would break through darkness. Okay, that's cool. Fire.
All right. Then you can't use this feature again until you do a long rest. There's our hefty paladin. That's what we were hoping for.
There you go.
Okay, so as a capstone, this does feel pretty good. This feels right for a final capstone, right? Just, it really takes everything that you were able to do. Now, also imagine too, right? You don't ever get to see this because DMs don't ever get to like actually, do the right thing for their players and let players like actually get to live out the fact that they're finally, OP as shit.
Right.
Like, what I mean by that is you
don't get to see them running through stuff.
Yeah, most DMs rarely ever give you the opportunity to just show the fuck off. And actually, like, how often are you at level 3, level 4, level 5, and they show you this really cool NPC that inspires you to do something? By the time you get there, where's the little tiny peasant that you're inspiring, right? Where's the low level that's like, oh my God, you're so fucking cool? Players never get that moment. And I think that's where player entitlement comes from, and why min-maxing gets like out of hand sometimes, is people are just tired of like, I'm gonna prove to you I made the most powerful thing. And then what do DMs do? They just make harder and harder puzzles and fights. And it's like, but I never, you never get that like full feeling, right? So I look at this as one of those perfect capstones, because if you were to apply this to a non-scheduled encounter setting, right? Take the party, they go into a town or a kingdom, and like they're just they want to wreak some havoc, they want to overthrow a bad king, right? Wasn't planned for, they just want to do it. And I'm imagining like, the drawbridge, or like the road up to the castle, kind of narrow with a bunch of guards like all stationed up. And you're doubling your movement speed after you've already gotten up to 50, and then you do the noble charge, and you're just like, nah, you're not going to stop us, and you just run through like 100 enemies. They're all just literally
imagine they're on a drawbridge and you knock these suckers off the bridge and they just
you're just plowing through, and then your party's just sitting there behind you, free dashing right behind you, just picking off stragglers. And I'm like, that's the moment you want to set your players up for. This is level 20 before the BBEG. You set a bunch of minions and peasants in front of him, and you let this guy go out of my way, and you let him do what he is meant to do. This entire gaming session is prove that nothing will stop him, and he activates this, and you just go. You know what I mean? That. And like, that's those moments that are missing in campaigns, where the players just get to feel like the heroes that they are, right? It's not just about the always having to struggle, but where are the fights that just let you feel like, oh my God, do you remember when that was like
I'm a
we talked about
boss.
This before. One of my favorite things to do for my players is, after a couple levels, throw them a fight they've had before, whether it's the same NPC or a same like animal set, or the same bandit group. Like, make them do something that they've done before but that was difficult, and let them see themselves walk through it.
Yes,
because that feeling is so good when you're just like, oh my God, do you remember when we almost died to that? Because how is it when every single combat 100%. Almost makes you die? How do you really feel like you're more powerful if every single combat you feel like you're dead? You know what I mean? It's hard to remember that you're more powerful than you were day one.
Yes.
Every fight ends in 3
and
hit points.
Like, I definitely want to not feel like I'm just like everything I come up against is paper. But At the same time, I do, just like you said, want to feel like some of what I am is powerful, right? I'm not just fodder for everything I come up against to like almost kill me.
Yeah.
But like I actually have the ability to be dangerous to other things.
And no one's going to want a lot of it. You're not going to want fight after encounter after
Exactly.
encounter where you're just like, dude, these minions are getting boring. I can't not hit them. Like, I have to crit fail to miss them, right? And even when I miss them, I kill them. But giving them like one right before a big fight gives them that little confidence boost, reminds them how far they've come, and just adds to the story. Because again, they ran into adventurers early on. They ran into those NPCs who made, you know, an impact. You want to make sure that they get the same opportunity, right? Even if it's only in story, you want them to, you know, do something where they inspire a kid to become an adventurer. And then like at the end of the campaign, call back to that kid, like going out on his first adventure or defeating his first dragon, right? Like
Right.
You want to give them those moments of feeling like they've actually seen the end of their character story, right? Instead of it just being, yep, you killed the BBG, story's over. But what about the character stories? Yeah, that was the party story. That was the campaign story. But what about, you know, like what we talked about when you watch movies and TV shows, you think about character growth, right? You think about like that actual like change that they made from being the jerk to, you know, the sweetheart.
Yes.
Or, you know, the one that was, you know, always gung-ho and never thought to actually like, you know, making plans, right? Like you want to see people change. But in the D&D campaign, you get to see that in how the players represent it. But DMs definitely have the opportunity to give out chances to show that off more, to let the characters and the players see it for themselves.
100%.
But I digress. Going back to this, I think this is a good capstone to set a DM up to let them just have at it.
Yes.
Like, let this have a lot of fun. It doesn't feel
Play
like
around with it. And it plays so well into everything else. Again, like I'll say it again, this subclass does a huge job of providing a lot of synergy to what you can do. It is very cool, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer your question, Marty, yes, we do occasionally review like more custom like TTRPG or setting specific things. We actually usually do those in more of a showcase fashion. So where this is a review fashion where we go over it from DM and player point of views. We kind of break it out into what we may or may not have done with it. And at the end here, I'm going to give it a point system, a 0 or technically a 1 out of 10. We call those, it's a 1 out of 10 high points, but it's not so much a value of how good it is. It's more of a value about how compatible it is in my personal setting of high points. So for those of you that are new, that's what we do is we review these. And then I give it a 1 out of 10 high points for compatibility, but not necessarily for how good it is. And then occasionally we will get submissions that are, you know, setting specific, or they are from another TTRPG, or they're not quite available to be just dropped into anybody's campaign.
You can't just plug and play it in like your 5th edition game.
And so for those ones, we do still review those, but we take a slightly different approach because they're not really applicable. We don't try to balance them as much as we were trying to do with this one. We don't try to approach it from how we would use it as a DM perspective. In a showcase, what we do is we more discuss how we would approach it as a player. If someone was trying to get us interested in that campaign and they said, hey, here's an option of what you would do, I review it from the point of view of what's making me enticed to want to play this or what's not. What's drawing me in? What questions do I have? What does it make me want to do with it? How would I use it? And at the end, we give it a score out of 5 stars on like usability, playability, and whether or not it really inspired us to like want to jump into that campaign,
right?
Or whether it just kind of left us with I'd rather just stick with D&D kind of feel. So slightly different on the approach, which is why we do stars versus high points, because I felt like we still want to give people the opportunity to submit those, but it's really hard to give it a compatibility when it wasn't meant to be compatible with D&D.
Right.
And we felt that wasn't
fair. Its own thing.
Right, because 9 times out of 10, those would be like 2s because they're not compatible. But if we looked at them for what they were, as does this entice me to want to play that campaign? Does it make me want to join that DM? Then when we look at it from that point of view, we can still discuss it, right? Because it's great to, it's also great for you guys to see like, hey, if I give this to a random person, what are they going to think? Where is this going to take them and what are they going to want to do with it? So yes, if you are interested, if you have that, I don't know if you saw chat, but Marty said that they have some ones for a custom campaign that was for Egyptian themed.
Ooh,
I would be so
I would
down.
love to see that.
Yeah.
Yo, if you throw those in there, I would be happy to write that up.
Yeah, if you were down, submissions channel is in the Discord is where you can pop those. Submissions channel is for us to review on stream. Home brewing channel in the community area is if you just want to share it with the community and just chat with anybody in the Discord about it in general. So if you want it on stream, just make sure it goes into the submissions chat. But anyway, so going back to Pokeniner, so I really do like this. It's one of the better builds for oaths. It's one of the better representations of an oath paladin. A lot of them just kind of fall short and bland for that concept of like,
Yeah,
I'm so into something, I have magical powers. Like,
Yeah.
I believe in something so hard it gave me magical powers. This actually feels like, again, it feels very Marvel without the cheesy part of being a Marvel story, right? Like I'm getting or DC, right? I'm getting I'm getting the cinematic aspect of Marvel without the cheesy comic bookness, right? I'm thinking of like Quicksilver, Flash, like a comic book like hero that's not cheesy.
yes.
This is like someone getting their powers because they're honing their understanding of how the world works, and they're so in tune with not being left behind and not falling behind that the way they see the world has adjusted to where they're just moving at a rate that no one else can comprehend because of the way that they've dedicated to move through the world, right? I really do like that. I think one of my biggest suggestions, or at least just my biggest holdups, is maybe just the Oath of Progress is where I kind of got held up on.
Yeah.
Because the ideology of progress, I don't think is really represented in the powers. And I'm not saying that there was any easier way to do it. I don't know necessarily right off the top of my head about how I could represent progress. Maybe like it's without it being super situational. I don't know how I would have done it. So I'm not necessarily saying that it was bad the way that you went about it. I just don't know if I would have used progress to represent this. I think this would have been more of like motion, fluidity, inertia, like the Oath of Inertia, the Oath of I know exactly why Oath of Progress was chosen. I just don't know if it was the word I would use. It's not gonna I'm not gonna take any marks off of it for that. I just, as a personal note, I don't know if this is when I would have used the word progress, but I totally get it. Like, I can't say that it wasn't the worst choice, right?
Right.
But otherwise, Kage is absolutely right. As much as we altered some things, the flow was great. The naming structure was pretty good. I wouldn't really say that there was like a build-up at all in the naming structure, but it all flowed. It all made sense.
It kept you on the same track, I feel like.
And even if we were to ignore everything that we said, it still works. That is one thing that we normally don't see in subclasses. A lot of the times, the things that we suggest usually are to make it actually work. And a lot of the times it was, I think the suggestions that we had were just to make it feel better, but not necessarily to make it work.
Right. Yes.
So big points on that for nothing was wrong. Nothing was balanced to the point to where it wasn't usable. It's just at the point to where I think you're pulling your punches on this one. Let's put it that way. I think you could have gone a little bit further and let this thing shine a little bit more. And a lot of the reasons why I look at that, the way I look at balancing in terms of is it too strong or whatnot, is I always look at it in terms of balance through the party, right? Is it a spotlight ranger? In the sense of, is this thing doing everything without the help of anybody else? Right?
Right.
Or does this thing basically act like they're the lead singer and all of you are just here to buff me? Right? Like this is one of those ones where it does a lot on its own, but it does a lot for the party. And it benefits from the party as well. So I just think that if you were to buff this a little bit, it doesn't make it to where everybody else in the party feels like they're either trying to live up to it or catch up to it, but it also just doesn't feel like you're going to take this and be your own one-man show. So I think even bumping it up makes a more synergistic party.
I can feel that 100%.
It also definitely makes me want to, definitely gives me some good ideas for better, like It's weird. This is one of those really interesting ones where it's a good synergy because it has things like the Noble Charge is such a good attack, but I look at it from like imagine being any of the other party members and how good of an attack that is. You basically split the battlefield in half. You move people around, you get pairs off of each other. You do a lot of damage to a lot of, or not a lot, but you do a decent amount of damage to a lot of enemies.
At the very least, you can get back there to maybe where some of those spellcasters are, force them to do some constitution saving throws if they're concentrating on spells. Like
a lot of times when you see like attack actions, they make you a one-man show, but even Noble Charge gives like you're affecting the battlefield for the rest of the party. And that alone makes this a support character while not necessarily being a buffing support character. You know what I mean? Like you have your auras, but realistically, even Noble Charge works. Which is just, that's what gives me the idea of how different homebrews can work, because being able to give it something that's not directly a buff or a support action, but in and of itself supports the team.
Yeah.
That alone, I think, is worth looking into. And that's probably going to get an extra point. I'm going to give it an extra point simply because it deserves to be looked at more about how can you get something that's usable for yourself, but the after effect is really beneficial for the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't seem that way immediately. So with that, I will give it that extra point. It's not going to lose. So do I need this specifically in high point? No. It doesn't really, kind of getting the inspiration point. It does need a couple changes in order for me to fit it in, because it doesn't quite, again, the name doesn't quite fit the way that it would work in high point, but there's really not a lot. I don't think there's really much that we did change. I think we just buffed everything for the better.
A little bit, yeah.
And that capstone, I've even got to give it an extra point for having the perfect capstone. It's going to get an 8 out of 10.
Golly, amen.
It's close.
Hey.
I just think that it needs to be more strong, and it needs to have just slightly different wording to really nail in
to pull you in.
It? What are we a paladin of? Because I just don't think saying that we're a paladin of the Oath of Progress really encapsulates the abilities, but I don't think the abilities really call to any one mindset either. So those are really the only two knockoffs I can have. Is I want to see it be stronger, and I want to see it be more focused, like more on the ideological side.
Right.
What am I actually a paladin of? Outside of that, it's great. I like it.
Freaking love it, man.
So I hope you enjoyed the
8
review,
out of 10.
What's Pokeniner's average? It's kind of a thing.
Okay, let me put this in here real quick, and let's take a look.
Right. Well, while he looks that up, we will kind of let you all know. So this is kind of what we do. This is every Monday. We do a homebrew review where we go over, an item, a subclass, a race, a spell, anything that you guys have submitted. We go over it, we break it down, we try to look at it from DM point of view, player point of view, our experience, and at the end of it, I try to give it a rating of compatibility with my setting of high point. And as you kind of saw, that's just, what we kind of break down there is, whether, it feels really original. It will get points for inspiring us to do things like, again, creating abilities that are not in and of themselves supporting abilities, but end up with a support effect. So that, that's kind of an extra point that I'm giving it for the compatibility with what, how good it could fit in high point. And yeah, that's kind of how we do it. We do have a leaderboard that you guys can check out. But we keep a leaderboard for all of the top items. So at any point we can, show you guys what's the top items. And then we do keep a running list of all of the items from everybody, so we can give things like averages.
Yes. So Pokeniner's average right now is 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. So that's pretty decent. It's a pretty solid average right now.
The same as Cosmic, I think. I think Cosmic's in the 7 right now.
Cosmic's still at a 7, right? Yeah.
I think so with the
we were just looking at
don't
that.
Get granular than that. I think we just do
correct.
Solid. So that's at 7. Who's at the highest right now? Who has the highest average?
Currently, the highest average is actually Desmar with an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Yes. Look at you. All right. Well, cool. Well, what is on the bucket for next week, or what's on the docket for next Monday?
So I believe next Monday we are doing a collection from one of our first-time submitters, but not new to the community, Lucifer.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's the collection of rings.
That's correct.
Of rings. It's gonna be it's gonna be a very unique one. There's 10 rings. Technically, they've been submitted as a set, so we will.
We're gonna review them all together.
Normally, we're very
select
on not doing multiple items. Typically, we only do one item, but this was submitted as a set. We will treat it as a set, and therefore it will be scrutinized as a set on whether or not it actually works together and makes sense to be considered to be used all as one. So this one, especially because they're just rings, so they're relatively quick, we're gonna try to see how this one works, but hopefully it won't be overly done, right? It won't be.
Sure.
We're just basically worried that we don't want to start getting like 4 or 5 or 6 items that they're called sets, and people just want us to do a bunch of reviews. Like it takes us 2 hours to get through one thing. We don't need,
because especially we go on tangents, we talk about what we would do and all the extra stuff. So doing that on like 10 different things all at what that's going to extend things quite a bit. So
okay.
I think with this, because I feel like everything is along the same general overall theme, a lot of the stuff we would end up saying will be along the same lines, which is why I can understand certain collections wanting to go, like, especially if they genuinely are built together. Yeah. Right.
So we're trying to figure all of that out. So we're going to test this out. We're going to see if it's a set. We'll be a little bit more scrutinized on it. Marty, yes, that is the correct channel. Pokeniner wants to double check their average, because they're not sure they ever got anything of equal to or greater than a 7 before. So they're curious how
interesting.
They got an
Let me
of 7. So we'll check that for you there. We don't have anyone to raid tonight, so we'll probably just be ending it here. But we do, or here in a few minutes. But we won't be raiding out tonight, but we do appreciate all of you for showing up for today. We do stream every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with our community creation review. So we do try to prioritize any new followers and first-time submitters. So if you do have something that you want to submit to us, you can do that in the Discord. I'm going to pop Discord's link in chat again. What's going on, Cosmic? You need to get back to the Dragon Scale set. Yes, we need to get back to more of the Dragon Scale set. In that particular case, that's a great ideology of a set that is best reviewed one at a time, even though it's a set. Right. So, like, again, sets can be done one at a time if we know that they're in a series, but doing a set all at once would be a little bit David.
So, Pokeniner, just so you're aware, you have an 8 for the College of Pages, an 8 for your Blight Blood. You have a 7 for the Shinobi. You have a 9 for the Chasm Dwarf. And you have a 9 for the Surface Sentinel and an 8 for the Oath of Progress. So it's actually closer to an 8 for your average with the ones that have been reviewed so far. I think the 7 was because some of the ones that hadn't been reviewed yet were divided into the what do you call it? Into the average. So yeah, you've got quite the high scores.
Yeah.
Of late.
Pretty good. So that's on Mondays, and then on Fridays we stream at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, and usually Fridays are more of a just an open-ended topic. So we'll usually either do a deep dive, like a history of. So we've done like the history of the metatext, we've done history of alignment, we've done history of the druid class.
Yes.
We've done a bunch of history ofs, and so we'll either do something like that, or we'll do what we call like a tangent talk, where we'll pick a couple loose topics that we don't really do any research on, but are more open-ended opinion pieces, and we'll just sit here and talk with chat. Talk with each other, just about the general process. Like last week, we talked all about role playing, and the various types of role play, and how to role play without actually role playing, and the difference between role playing and like role play, like filling a role, versus actually like acting it out and everything. So Fridays are usually just a bigger topic. We'll go a little bit longer, and we'll either have a bunch of stuff that I've researched that I'll read off, kind of like the history ofs, where I'll just be more educational, and then other weeks we'll do some just crazy opinion topics. If you guys are interested in any of the previous streams that we've done, we have all of our VODs on YouTube. So if you want to check out our link tree, that link is in chat now. You can find us on all the socials, and then our main YouTube channel has our shorts, and then our live YouTube channel has all of our VODs. So you can see all of the other episodes that we've done before. Also, we have a new thing that we've been doing the last couple months. If you guys haven't seen it, in the channel point section, we have community goals. So right now we have already raised 4,000 of the 10,000 needed for the extra stream for November. These are something that we've been doing the last couple months. So if you guys give the 10,000 XP or the channel points by the end of the month, we will do an extra stream the following month. So we actually just did our very first extra stream this last weekend.
Yes, it was really good.
We did like 5 hours on Saturday. We went through the history of divine magic. So basically looking at like the influence and power of gods throughout each edition, how each edition handled gods, what was the influence on gameplay, what was the expectations from the DMs and the players on interacting with gods. That was a really cool topic.
Yes.
And we also added in custom creating 2 cocktails that were themed for that. So we did 2 cocktails live on stream. Well. One was a shot, one was an actual cocktail. We had the ethereal elixir, which was the cocktail, and then the ritual sacrifice, which was the shot that I created.
Straight fire.
So,
you know what we did forget to do though? We were going to talk about potentially putting up a vote for the rating of the item. On
we'll figure that out next time. Yeah.
Next time.
We are thinking about potentially doing polls in chat in the future.
Give you guys something to spend those high points on.
Yeah, on the beginning of a review stream where we'll let you guys basically bet on what you think the score will be. And it might just be like, above 5, below 5 or something like that. But the idea would be a way for you guys to kind of like essentially gamble the high point or it would be the high points, the channel currency that you guys are getting in the background. And then that would just be kind of a fun, another interaction, but we'll figure out if we're going to do that in the future. So extra streams are happening. We did one this last weekend. We have another one coming up on Sunday, October 20th.
Yes.
So in just a couple weeks, if you guys are interested, we will be doing an extra stream. In the Discord, there will be a poll probably popping up tomorrow, just depending on seeing how late it is tonight. There will be a poll in Discord tomorrow asking you guys what you want to see on that extra stream. We have a couple new ideas, so we'll get that from you. And then we'll be able to set that up for that. So otherwise, that's going to be us for tonight. Really do appreciate all of you. Thank you guys
100%.
for the raid, for the new follows, for the new submissions in Discord. We did see a couple people join in.
Heck yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Cosmic, yes, we do have you on the books. You can get with Kage in Discord and he'll let you know. Because next week we're doing Lucifer's ring set. And then I think we did just get something from Marty, so that might be squeezed in because usually first-time submitters and new followers usually get squeezed in.
That's true.
So I don't know what the schedule is going to look like, but if you guys ever have a question on the schedule, we do have a schedules channel that will always show what the last item was, what the next item is going to be in terms of the review process.
And that'll also take you to the leaderboard as well if you want to check out any of the stuff that we've done in the past and see any of the write-ups of them.
Yeah, you guys can check out that. We have links on the leaderboard to the episodes. We have links to our write-ups, I believe.
Yep.
So if you guys like anything that you guys saw on this and you want to have it for yourselves, it's all available there. And then if you guys ever have any questions about what's going on with reviews, just keep in mind, I don't look at anything and I don't see anything before the day up. So when I do these and I'm reviewing these, I'm reading it for the very first time. When you guys submit them, Kage takes them and he formats them into this for me. So don't worry about how you guys have them, whether it's a notepad, Word file. If you just want to copy and paste into Discord itself, that's fine too. If you use something like Homebrewery, that's fine. If you have a PDF file, you guys can upload that as well.
Whatever it is, give it to us as is.
Don't worry about the format. Kage takes care of that and he formats it with trying not to read it, but just tries to get it.
I do a fairly good job. I didn't know most of what was happening here. Like I'd seen some of the names before, but hearing some of the descriptions like all read out for the first time, I love it.
I will take a look at them. So I just honestly, I don't want to rate anybody that I don't personally know or haven't followed before, but I will take a look at them. And if I like their content, I'll give them a follow and then I'll be able to rate out to them in the future. So thanks for giving me the name.
I appreciate that.
I'm actually going to grab that right now and I will take a look at them here after stream because I do want more people in the community to rate out to, but I don't want it to be just random. And I respect to be completely honest, we have a vibe, we have a brand, we have a community, and sometimes mixing communities just doesn't work. So I don't really want to
bring a bunch of people.
I don't want to send a bunch of you guys off to someone that I don't know what the quality is. It's just something that I want to make sure that we're a little bit more in control of. But thank you for the name. I will check them out. And if I do like them, I'm definitely going to follow them so we keep them on our list to pay attention to.
For sure.
But yeah, otherwise, I think that was pretty much kind of it for all of you new guys. Thank you so much for joining, staying, hanging out, chatting with us if you like it. Again, every Monday and Friday, we're here. I haven't game streamed in a while, but on a very rare occasion, I pop up and do some games online on the weekends. So if you guys see me live as well, if it's unscheduled, then that's probably just me playing games. Maybe the D&D section wasn't oversaturated with sessions. Yeah, that's one of the other main issues, is that we're like one of the only like podcasts right now that are just talking D&D. I know a lot of people do like their campaign setups. They'll write their campaigns, their stories,
session prep and stuff like that.
Session prep and all of that. But yeah, the vast majority of it, Cosmic's absolutely right. The vast majority is just people playing D&D, which is really one of the reasons why we haven't yet. Like, we've wanted to.
It's not that we don't want to. Yeah,
it's just that everyone's doing that, and we want to establish ourselves and we want to establish our community as more than just another gaming group, right? Like, there's so many other people who probably have a better setup to be more entertaining gaming. I'd rather provide something else, right? Like, there's 100 different gaming sessions you can, and everyone games themselves. Like, you game yourself. We want to give you more to bring to your gaming session, not just another gaming session.
I honestly appreciate the fact that I don't know why, but I feel like I would much prefer having people watch me that are there to watch us, specifically, not just to watch a game.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people that just go out, I'm just going to look for a game, look for something to entertain me. And I feel like the people that will come to watch this game will appreciate it a lot more, knowing
I like
who
being
you are
interacted with, not reacted to.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because most of those, even the chats that are going off, they're reacting to what's happening. They're not interacting with what's happening. I'd much rather have questions and talk to people and get to know what the ideas are and what they're going to take away from it, and know that it will enrich their future gaming sessions, than just give them a generic gaming session that may or may not inspire them to do something. But I want people to be here for us, like you said, for us, not for our characters.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to provide value, not just entertainment.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, I would love for people to get hyped for Dobbed if he ever shows up. You know what I mean? Like, that would be dope, because I'm hyped for Dobbed. Dobbed is kind of cool.
I would love people to enjoy High Point, but I just don't want that to be what we're known for.
Right.
Like, I want High Point to be a treat, not a not the standard. I really like what we do here. And I hope it gets more popular. And with you guys are making that possible. So
100%. Again, we appreciate all of you guys that have shown up, and especially some of the new guys from the raid that are still sticking around with us. Yeah. I love it.
Calling out Big Dungeon in her session prep. Actually, surprisingly enough, she wasn't the first person that popped into my mind, because we've known a couple people.
Yeah, Bobicus.
Bobicus just like writes up their sessions. But yeah, that is kind of funny.
Hey man, session prep's where it's at.
Everybody, and again, Cosmic hits it right on the head. Everybody wants to be the next Critical Role. I don't necessarily know that that's everybody who streams it wants to be that, but I do think that when you see it, like especially on YouTube, when they go all out with their performances, I think those people are definitely trying to be the next big Critical Role. They're trying to be the next. They're trying to be the next gaming module that isn't official D&D.
When you think about how you're gonna make money doing D&D, I feel like that's the first thing that comes to people's mind is Critical Role. It's like that's how I'm gonna get famous, that's how I'm gonna get popular, that's how I'm gonna make money, that's how I'm gonna be able to do things. Is like, we gotta play games, we gotta have people love us watching us play games. So
people have to know our story and our history.
To make it as entertaining as possible. We have to have good voice actors as possible. We have to role play out our stuff,
and that's all fine and good if it's adding value. But at the end of the day, no matter how good the production is, if it's not adding value, what's the enticement for people to watch? Like, it could be the best looking D&D, it could be the best sounding D&D campaign, but if it's just you guys constantly in a shop bickering over 3 silver, no one's gonna watch. No one wants to hear that in perfect 4K clarity, you bickering over 2 silver, or you trying to figure out what page of the monster manual this thing that you read 20 years ago is on. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many situations where it's like, it doesn't matter the quality if you're not giving the value. Yeah. And that's kind of where, like, we found that nice middle ground where we don't need the 4K cameras. We didn't need the studio quality systems, but we did want more than a webcam and a USB microphone, right? So it's like, you got to find that middle ground of, get to a comfortable position, but then just establish yourself, right?
Yeah. Know what you're doing. Know why you're doing it. And I think that's what this started journey for us is looking like. Is like we've slowly improved like our set, our equipment, what we have. We like the way we sound, we like the way we're presenting ourselves, and now we can slowly turn that into whatever else.
And this is a great story. Soul giving Big Dungeon ideas on her stream when she was doing a sewer, and he mentioned doing something like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, exactly. That's what I want to do, is being able to like build that out instead of just have people just see what I've created. I want them to help like get into that mindset of like, well, why is it created this way, and how can we make it better, like together, right?
100%.
And I agree with Cosmic here on this idea. Twitch should divide up the D&D category, like live
games versus
prep setup or like this, right? Like the idea for streaming games versus streaming behind the scenes.
I feel like the only reason they haven't is because the category isn't large enough, because they have plenty of other categories that are way larger than D&D that are still just the one category.
But the thing is it really, they're only the biggest issue is the only category that isn't a game is just chatting. There are no other categories. Like every category is a game. So there really aren't categories. It's just games. What Twitch needs is like Dungeons and Dragons. Like it's not a category. It's the game that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
This is just, but there are about, like I've seen, if you type it in, like there are about like 13 different variations of Dungeons and Dragons, but they're all the different game types, whether it's video game or modules. But what they don't have is like a category for D&D prep.
Got
It's
you.
literally just Dungeons and Dragons. What they could have is like Dungeons and Dragons campaigns and then Dungeons and Dragons chatting.
Interesting.
And
because I
that's the other.
have noticed there's this one guy. So, you know, Cosmic is into that one game that I also play, Genshin Impact. Yeah. There's a streamer that I follow for Genshin Impact that there are some times where he'll get on stream and he won't ever actually open the game. The only thing he does is he talks about like, you know, like certain strategies, like certain, like why he does certain things, like numbers on.
Yeah.
He's like in an Excel document, like running through a whole
But
bunch
he's
of
in
like
that category
information.
because that's what he's talking about.
Exactly. And so like I'd be interested to see how they would do that with other categories as well.
And that's really the thing, is they have to balance out the idea of like, you know, what are people searching for and how granular do people want to be? But also like, you know, we could do this in just chatting. We could just switch over to just chatting because this is that's what we do. We just chat. But our problem is just chatting is so big that no one's looking for a D&D chatter in just chatting.
When you're in just, exactly.
Yeah, that's not what you're looking for. So that's that middle ground, right? Is there's no real easy way to make every category because that's not how people search for it. But you also don't have a way to separate what we do, right? We are D&D theme, but we are just chatting. So it's like, what category do we belong in? And that's the downside, is Twitch really isn't about category. It's about game. And that's where I think if they're ever really going to be better and expand out, they really need to get into the mindset of category.
Yeah.
Like they need a gaming category and then the just chatting category.
I feel like YouTube does a good job of that.
Yeah. But then again, maybe you don't want that too, because can you imagine someone who wants a D&D game, so they have to go into the game section under D&D, but then they want to switch to a D&D podcast. So then they have to find us. In a
different section.
It's the catch-22, right?
Yeah,
it's great that it's so minimal, but it's also not that great because it's so minimal, right? And that's why you almost just need like the umbrella category, and then you need like tertiary categories that you could like supplement, because there's really no other way to tell people what we do here.
I mean,
we can go into the D&D game category, but then there's no other like, you know, filter I can add where we're, you know, a podcast versus a gameplay. Because what if we just had that? What if it just gave us the chance to say, pick your game like normal. So our category is D&D, but then underneath that you could be like, we are gameplay versus podcast.
Yeah,
totally different approach. So you could know just based off of that filter, I don't want to look at, like, again, you can go to the D&D category and be like, I don't want to watch gameplay. You could filter out gameplay, and then it would only show us and anybody else doing prep.
I do like the idea of like filtering your category. So like, yes, this is your category, but I want to filter for X, Y, and Z. You know,
I think that would be way easier.
Interesting.
Than trying to build a category for everything. But having, again, like hashtags or something, just having a filter where I can put it in my title or put it in when I go live, and then people can just drill down based on exact needs. Or if they just want to be generalized, they can go through the whole category.
Facts. Facts.
Marty says, listening while finishing up the list over here. Such an interesting style for D&D. Thank you.
Yeah, I like it.
D&D is so many fascinating ways to play D&D and approach D&D, and that's what we're here for.
That's
talk
exactly
about all of that.
Beyond the book, baby.
Yes,
all day.
That's our motto, is thinking beyond the book. But that is going to be us for today. We've almost gotten to 3 hours, and I think we are pretty much done. So we will be back on this Friday. I haven't nailed down a specific topic. I think we are going to be talking a little bit about homebrew, and then we might have another topic just after that. If we don't make enough time, but I think this Friday's topic is going to be homebrew or custom creation versus homebrew. So it's going to be an open-ended topic about us discussing what we define as where the line is drawn between what is custom and what is homebrew. And we're going to talk about the differences, maybe a little bit of history about what homebrew used to be and what it is now. But that's going to be Friday's topic, and then we have a couple other things that we're going to chat about if anything else happens. To add to the session issue, one group having every player doing a separate stream, I would not do that.
Wait, what happened?
Imagine doing a gaming session, but every individual person is live streaming. I wouldn't. I would absolutely not. No, I would not do that.
That is wild. I feel like that'd be way too hard to manage.
Well, everybody would be too distracted. Nobody would actually be paying attention to the DM because they'd be too focused on their own chats.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No. But you can't do a stream together, but then you're all still streaming. No. Let's just have it as one stream. How about that? Everyone flocks to one streamer. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. We are officially going to be ending it here. So again, thank you very much. We do appreciate all the new follows. We appreciate the raid. We'll be back on Friday talking about custom creation versus homebrew. We'll be back next Monday talking about the 10 ring set given to us by Lucifer. Otherwise, other than that, I think that's going to be us. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you. And we will be back on Friday. Thanks again, guys. You guys have been fantastic. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.